Knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Roster is a lot more than at some of the games that happened yesterday. The upset of the day, to me, and it might be, it could be High Point, but the way that VCU came back yesterday against North Carolina, that was a heck of a comeback. VCU beat North Carolina 82-78 in overtime, and they erased a 19-point deficit. Terrence Hill Jr. had 34 points, clutch takeover in the second half. North Carolina missed their last 9 shots, choked free throws away in overtime, and completely collapsed late. This isn't just a comeback. This is a program indictment of North Carolina. They didn't lose. They folded. VCU is dangerous, but needing a miracle comeback versus North Carolina, that might be a problem when they get to Illinois. Are we finally back with the audio?
Yes, we are. The satellite didn't disengage.
Oh,
so.
That's fun. That's always great. All right, so now we're back and running. Do we got to play the open again?
No.
Reset everything?
No, we don't. But by the way, now that we are, just to kind of give a little bit of a break so you can recollect your thoughts. It is your birthday today.
It is my birthday today. Yes.
And because I'm a nice guy.
Nice.
And because I appreciate you.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad that, and you don't listen to me, but yes, continue.
I don't. I got you something.
What? Why? Why would you do that? Too many people.
I got you and thing.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Go ahead.
All right. Open this up. Why would you give me a present?
Because
it's unnecessary.
Because it's fun.
Because it's fun. Oh, it's purple.
I want you to wear that all show.
I don't know if I'm going to do that.
You absolutely should.
Oh, is this a purple shirt with a frog on it? Look at this. That's hilarious. It's a frog with a birthday hat. Just a happy frog. Did you custom make this?
No, that's an Amazon. That's an Amazon purchase. That.
It's my birthday. And it's a frog with a hat.
We'll take a picture for social media right after this.
That is hilarious. Thank you, Frank.
Of course, buddy.
That's awesome. I might actually have to wear that. I might wear that for a couple segments. That's amazing. Thank you.
Of course.
No reason to do that.
No, I know.
But I appreciate it.
Other than to mess around with you.
That's hilarious.
Especially knowing that my birthday does not land on a show day. So that's always good.
When is your birthday?
New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's never going to be a show day.
No,
God, I hope it's not going to be a show day. We could do this gigantic birthday spectacular show on New Year's Eve. We'll count down.
Isn't that
we're going to do the East Coast version of it?
Oh, God.
That's an awesome shirt. What did you Google search?
Happy
frog.
I wanted to mess with you, and I told my mom about it, and she is like the master of the funny joke gift. So she found that on Amazon, sent it to me, and I'm like, yes, 1,000,000% I'm getting that.
That's amazing. I appreciate that. I every time on my birthday, I've told my, the story with the blood bank all the time, but today is always a big day for obviously the stress that was, my parents on this day 31 years ago. And so a big, I wouldn't say shout out to them, but it's a big appreciation for everything that they had to go through to make sure that I am sitting here today. So I appreciate that. And everybody that was part of what was a very difficult time for my family, and for all the people that I don't even realize that they donated blood to keep me alive when I was a newborn. A big thank you to all of them. It's a day for them as well. And this is why it's so important to donate blood. In fact, when I was walking in to the studios today, I saw a blood drive sign. So I think our building's going to have a blood drive again. But, this is the importance of the San Diego Blood Bank and why you donating blood impacts so many people that you don't even realize. And myself is included. That's why anytime we can do a live show at the blood bank, we will be doing it. Or when they do the Padres holiday or the Padres blood drive or the Holiday Bowl blood drive, whatever it may be, we will be there as much as we can to try to get people to donate blood. Today is a special day, of course, for myself, being a birthday. My mom had to give a lot of her blood to keep me alive, but it was a lot of other people that made this day important for my family because of their donations. So we really appreciate all the people that donate blood. If you've ever been on the fence about donating blood, hopefully this is maybe the push you need to go out and do it, because you never know how many people that that are around you that have been affected by the blood bank. So really appreciate all of you guys that go out there and donate blood. Need a reason to do it. Do it for B-Serp's birthday. We appreciate you. And we appreciate you guys going out there and doing those things. I appreciate Frank Marchese for the frog happy birthday shirt. That's hilarious. I love that. I love that. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what I wanted to talk about in the open, or what I was talking about that nobody could hear but Frank, as the little bit with the gremlins behind the scenes to start the show. So we'll talk NCAA tournament, keep you updated on what the scores are. Santa Clara and Kentucky coming down to the final seconds. We'll tell you what happens in that game when we come back. If you want proof that motorsports is in the middle of a generational shift, look no further than this weekend. In NASCAR, 45-year-old Denny Hamlin just picked up his 61st career win at Las Vegas after losing the championship last year and dealing with personal tragedy in the offseason. Hamlin fought through a speeding penalty, passed the field again, led 134 laps, and reminded everyone the old guard isn't going anywhere. But in Formula One, the future just arrived. 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli won the Chinese Grand Prix for Mercedes, becoming one of the youngest winners in F1 history. The teenager took the lead on lap 2 and never looked back. And in IndyCar, Kyle Kirkwood made one of the boldest passes of the season to beat three-time champion Alex Palou and take the championship lead. So here's the big question. Are we seeing the next generation take over motorsports, or are the veterans about to remind everyone that experience still wins races? It was a weekend across motorsports where the two themes stood out: experience refusing to fade and youth taking over the future of racing.
Yep. In NASCAR, a veteran proved he still had it. Formula One, a teenager shocked the grid. And in IndyCar, a championship fight is already heating up, and it's just 3 races into the season.
Let's get you caught up on the biggest motorsports stories of the week. In NASCAR, Denny Hamlin still hunting wins. In the NASCAR Cup Series, Denny Hamlin reminded everyone why he's one of the best to ever do it. 45-year-old driver picked up his 61st career win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, putting him 10th on NASCAR's all-time wins list, alongside legends like Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Earnhardt ahead of him. What makes this win even more remarkable is what Hamlin has gone through recently. He lost the championship in heartbreaking fashion last November at Phoenix Raceway, and shortly after that, his father passed away following a house fire that also critically injured his mother. And in a shoulder injury and the grind of a 20-year career, many drivers would have walked away. Instead, Hamlin fought through a speeding penalty Sunday, passed nearly the entire field again, led 134 laps, and took the win.
Yeah, at 45 years old, he's still proving. The old saying of racing is that old dogs can definitely still hunt, and that is a laundry list of things that he has gone through over the last 5 months, and really only said that he's still racing because he is under contract. And it's not fair to his team owner, Joe Gibbs, to have to find a guy on such short notice. Is really the only reason why he's stayed in the car, especially after losing the championship at Phoenix last year. So, I mean, it was a rough go for him. He's the sentimental favorite last year. He's going to be again this year, and he's picking up right where he left off.
Let's move on to Formula One, where a teenager won it in Shanghai. The future might have arrived sooner than expected in Formula racing. 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli captured his first Formula One victory at the Chinese Grand Prix. Young Mercedes driver had already made headlines by becoming the youngest pole sitter in F1 history earlier in the weekend. But the race itself wasn't easy. Briefly lost the lead to Lewis Hamilton at the start before taking it back on lap 2 and never looking back.
Yeah, Antonelli finished 5.5 seconds ahead of teammate George Russell, who won the sprint race the day before. Hamilton grabbed third, marking his first Grand Prix podium since joining Ferrari. He did win the sprint race in China last year, but counting full races, this is his first podium. Biggest headline, though, Formula One may have found its next superstar. And Kimi Antonelli has been in the Mercedes system ever since he was 14 years old. In his second year, raced last year with Mercedes. He is a very, very talented young kid. And if he's already getting in the equipment that he's in at this age and already getting wins, it is going to be a very, very scary future coming up.
Let's talk about IndyCar out in Texas, in Arlington, at the Java House Grand Prix, the inaugural Java House Grand Prix in Arlington. It was Kyle Kirkwood, chasing down three-time defending champion Alex Palou after the final round of pit stops. Then on lap 55, he made a bold move inside turn 13 to take the lead, a move Palou later called impressive.
Yeah, it's a very, very tight corner, turn 13, and he was able to really commit and stick in there and make that move work. That win also gives Kirkwood the IndyCar Championship lead after 3 races, and even more impressive than that is Andretti Global placed 3 drivers inside the top 4, showing that they might be the team to beat this year after years of dominance from the Penske and Ganassi guys.
What to watch next? Across the motorsports world, momentum is starting to build early in the season, and NASCAR Hamlin's win signals that the veteran could still be a champion. Broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios, we know how. I got my new shirt. I got it on. Put it on social media for anybody that wants to see it. Happy birthday, says Mott Really in the YouTube chat. That is so funny. Yeah, here's the shirt that Frank got. It's a frog with a little. It's a happy. This guy's so happy. Look how happy this guy is with a birthday hat, and it says at the bottom, "It's my birthday." It's great. The problem is, like we talked about, like the black ink on there for the "It's my birthday." It's on the
shirt. Not great.
It's okay,
but I couldn't change that, unfortunately.
Well, you know what? It's the thought that counts, and I love it. It's great. Guy's repping his Hofstra stuff today.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about what's going on in the NCAA tournament. Kentucky and Santa Clara are now going to overtime as Kentucky just hit a almost half-court shot, probably just past the half-court line, at the buzzer to send it to overtime. Santa Clara had a 3-point lead. Kentucky hit the shot that Ohio State missed yesterday. That was probably the same area as it was. And so now Kentucky and Santa Clara are going to overtime in St. Louis. Other games for you, Akron and Texas Tech. Texas Tech is holding on to a 64-57 lead over Akron, although Akron's starting to heat up a little bit. Virginia and Wright State are 24-23 in favor of Wright State. That's got 7 minutes left in the first half. Arizona here in San Diego is cruising over Long Island. They're up 45-20 and look like a team that everybody picked to win the NCAA tournament. I mean, they're off to a pretty good start. The Cats are. So we'll see what happens in that particular contest. Upcoming games here in San Diego. After the conclusion of Arizona Long Island, it will be Villanova and Utah State. Then there'll be a break. And then this afternoon in the second session, St. John's will take on Northern Iowa. And then Kansas will take on California Baptist. In the afternoon session, we will have a preview. Coming up in the noon hour, we are going to have the play-by-play man of St. John's, longtime play-by-play man of St. John's Radio, John Minko. He will join us in the noon hour. And then Brian Hanni, who is the Kansas Jayhawks broadcaster, he will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. Had to move some things around today. Drake Hills will join us at 12:35 today to give us our soccer update. We got a lot of Padres baseball to get to here in the next hour or so. Plus, I do want to mention Gwen and Chris going to have a great show today. Coming up on Gwen and Chris later on this afternoon, they got a great group of guests. They're going to have AJ Preller on. They're going to have Manny Machado on. They're going to have Jackson Merrill on. They're going to have Gavin Sheets on. They're going to have Jason Adam on, as well as Ty France. So that will all be coming up on Gwen and Chris later on this afternoon. So you want to stay tuned to that. It's going to be a great day of college hoops and Padres baseball. We are less than a week away from opening day here in San Diego. We'll talk more about what happened last night in the Padre game. Got to see the first full TV broadcast, too, with Don Orsillo and Mud Grant. Congratulations to Mud getting a new contract extension. Love 100%. To see that. Love seeing Mark Grant locked in for who knows however long, but he got the contract extension with the Padres, return as a color analyst of the San Diego Padres. I mean, I don't think in my lifetime, I don't want to make Mud feel old, but I don't remember ever not having Mark Grant as a color analyst in my lifetime. I mean, he started around the time I started really watching baseball at a very young age. I remember the Channel 4 days with Mark Grant and all of the different TV networks that have been airing Padres baseball. The one man that stood true the whole time, Mark Grant. And what a treat he is for us Padres fans to be able to watch on a daily basis. So love that Mud is getting a contract extension. It's great. Don Orsillo followed me on Twitter the other day. I thought that was cool. I liked his tweet when they had the Padres production thing. And I was like, oh, Don Orsillo's followed you. Hey, thanks, Don. Appreciate it, buddy. All right.
See, you're getting shirts for your breakfast. Now, go on to Sam Levitt's Twitter for a second. I just saw this pop up.
Oh, no. What are we doing here?
You're getting shirts. Meanwhile, Sam and Scravy are out having a wonderful time at breakfast.
What did they get?
They're at Waffle House.
Oh, I love Waffle House. That's money. Sam, what did you get? Oh, no. Oh, you know what? It's not a bad solid orders. Sam.
Solid orders.
Right. Just a couple of dudes at Waffle House enjoying a hearty breakfast with Matt Scravy. That's amazing. I like the Wholesome Friday. That's great. Anyway.
See, we got the Wholesome Friday. We got you getting gifts. We got Scravy and Sam hanging out. By the way, Sam and I have never gone to breakfast, but hey, whatever.
Are we gonna bitch, moan, and complain about that right now? I don't know. All right. Let's get back to it. I want to talk about what happened yesterday in college basketball. Now, I mentioned a lot of this while we were having a little bit of technical difficulty, so I'll bring it back up. Yesterday was a blast watching college basketball. You couldn't ask for a better day in reality. You got the upsets that you were missing last year. You had the High Point upset over Wisconsin, which was a huge upset. But how about the chaos of last night? The game of the night last night was one I ended up turning off at one point because it was such a blowout. Upset of the day, to me, is VCU over North Carolina. Not High Point over Wisconsin, just because of what VCU had to do in order to pull it off. You had upsets yesterday. You had blue blood scares, absolutely. Biggest takeaway was some better teams, or quote, better teams have showed that they were very flawed. And some Cinderella teams are showing that they're not flukes and might be dangerous for the round of 32. But the upset of the day, as I mentioned before, VC over North Carolina, 82-78 victory for Virginia Commonwealth over North Carolina in overtime. VCU erased a 19-point deficit. They were getting their ass handed to them in the second half, and they started to rally back. Terrence Hill Jr. had 34 points, clutch takeover. And North Carolina, I mean, they fell apart. They missed their last 9 shots. They choked free throws in overtime, completely collapsed late. And in that overtime period, where VCU goes down, knocks down a 3 with like 14 seconds left to make it, I think it was a two-point game. North Carolina dribble drives, gets fouled, and then the guy misses the first free throw, which means at that point in time, you're going to have to intentionally miss. Did you see the attempt yesterday, Frank, on the intentional miss of the free throw?
I did not know.
Okay. You know the rule that on the intentional miss and a free throw, what it has to hit?
It's got to hit the rim, no?
It's got to hit the rim.
Yeah. You can't whip it off the backboard.
So the guy tries to, the North Carolina player tries to chest pass the ball off the rim. He missed it. And it hits the backboard. Turnover. They didn't even get a shot. He was better off just trying to shoot. I mean, just like nonchalant, throw the ball up there. So North Carolina ends up losing in what was a 19-point lead for them in the second half. Truly amazing. That Kentucky shot was nuts, though, by the way. And Kentucky now has the lead in overtime. I mean, Santa Clara got to foul up 3 late in the contest if you want to win in the NCAA tournament. They're down 83-79, and that might be the shot that gave them the momentum to kind of pull this thing off in overtime because there's 48.5 seconds left. Other games yesterday. Duke survived a scare against Siena. 71-65. They were down 11.5 to a 16 seed. And, Siena just ran out of gas. Siena played the entire game with 5 players. They didn't play anybody off the bench. And the Boozer brothers carried it late. Duke didn't win. They definitely escaped that game. Now, there is a concern. There was no Caleb Foster yesterday for Duke, which is a shooting problem. They had massive defensive issues without Ngaba. And that version of Duke, that team might lose to a real good team here in the near future. I don't know if it's going to be TCU on Saturday, but I tell you what, if that's the team that Duke's rolling out there, I don't know how they're going to make it through Kansas or St. John's in the Sweet 16. The biggest bracket buster yesterday was High Point as they beat Wisconsin 83-82. High Point won their first ever NCAA tournament game. 3 players had doubles for the High Point Panthers, and Wisconsin blew multiple leads in that game. That wasn't a lucky game for High Point. That was execution, pace control, and the important stat now, High Point has won 23 of their last 24 games. They're not really a Cinderella. This team's legit and a problem to deal with if you're a college basketball team. They'll be taking on Arkansas on Saturday. Texas was able to beat BYU. BYU star A.J. DeBansta had 35 points and still lost. Texas controlled the game wire to wire. And, the star versus team debate, that displayed yesterday in BYU versus Texas. BYU's got one guy. It's A.J. DeBansta, who took a ton of money to go play for BYU. He claims that it was not for the money. He claims it was about the development of BYU and what, BYU was going to make him into as a player. They finished 10th in the Big 12 and their first round exit. Texas has a complete roster. That game showed that March isn't really about the stars. It's about the depth and how much defense you play. Texas gets the upset over BYU. Illinois dominated. Not a surprise. They won 105-70. Best offense in the country are the Illinois Fighting Illini, and it looked like it yesterday. Now, they're going against a Penn team that probably didn't have any business playing in the NCAA tournament, but they were able to beat Yale in the Ivy League final in the tournament. So they earned the spot, but 105 points for Illinois, 15 threes, total dominance. David Makovic had a monster game. He had 28 points and 17 boards. And Illinois, with the way that they played yesterday, I know it's against an Ivy League opponent, but they might be one of the most dangerous teams in the tournament. Their offensive efficiency was off the charts, and this team looked like they could blow anybody out. Arkansas ran wild yesterday, 97-78 victory as they were able to advance. They had elite guard play from Akoff and Thomas. 64 points in the paint for Arkansas yesterday. Fast break machine. Arkansas is built for March. Pace, athletes, depth. But the problem is they really can't shoot from beyond the arc. That could be a potential downfall for the Razorbacks, but it's going to be a big tester for High Point after they knocked off Wisconsin to see if they can handle what is a tough team in Woo Pig. Houston dominated. They did Houston things. They won 78-47. Their defense suffocated Idaho. Rebounding dominance, efficient, clean basketball out of the Cougs. And Houston is the most reliable team in the field. Can they win when forced into a shootout? That will be the big question. But at least with Houston, if they win on Saturday to go to the Sweet 16, they get to play in their backyard. They get to play in Houston. That's great news for the Cougs. Michigan State had a statement win. They won 92-67 to take care of business. They are a veteran team, a well-coached team, an experienced team. They play great defense, and they have balanced scoring. They dominated in the front court. They shot 58.9% from the field, and they showed why they're a Final Four caliber team when they're clicking. They showed why I picked them to be a Final Four team. Michigan State's legit. Izzo, man. Izzo in March. Better watch out. Nebraska made history yesterday. They were able to win their first ever NCAA tournament game. I can't believe that. With how long Nebraska's been around, the fact that that was Nebraska's first ever NCAA tournament win is crazy. But that's their first tournament win ever. They had a special moment. They showed the video of the play-by-play man for Nebraska who has called Nebraska sports for 40-plus years. I mean, he was tearing up watching Nebraska win their first ever NCAA tournament game. First ever. They had elite defense. They had three-point shooting. Feel-good story, but also Nebraska showed why they're a contender in this tournament because of how great they played defensively. And then how about the final game of the night? I mean, poor Adam Klug, man. I'd say that except for the fact that they dominated in football, but the Georgia Bulldogs are still looking for their first NCAA tournament win since 1996. They got smoked last night by St. Louis. St. Louis is good, okay? We knew St. Louis was good. I didn't know they were that good. I mean, 8-9 matchups, Frank, are usually coin flip games. That was not a coin flip game last night.
No, and I immediately regretted not picking St. Louis. I thought that was, of the 8-9 matchups, I thought that was the most obvious one going towards the 9, and I still went against my gut and picked Georgia. That was a whooping on every single level last night from the Billikens.
The Billikens. I love the Billikens mascot. They changed him though, dude. maybe they changed their mascot because he looked like Mitch McConnell. That's like what he looked like, the old mascot. The Billikens is such a great name. Did you see how many points they had in the paint yesterday?
No.
66.
Oh.
Out of the 102 points that the Billikens scored, they had 66 in the paint against Georgia. And they had, if you had to guess, how many players did St. Louis have in double figures yesterday?
6.
That's exactly right. They had 6 players in double figures yesterday against Georgia. That's not an upset in an 8-9 matchup. That is domination.
Yeah,
that was a dominant performance out of St. Louis.
That's a dog walking, is what that is.
Haha. Because they played the Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh, I didn't even.
Nice. Foul on you for not knowing that.
Didn't even put that together.
He draws the foul.
That's not why I said that.
When we come back, we'll talk about some of the teams here in San Diego. Arizona is cruising already in the first half of the contest. We already have our first victory of the day. What happened in overtime between Kentucky and Santa Clara? We'll tell you when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Someone Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. A big response after a tough loss. The goals went 1-2 this week, but the big story might be the play of young defenseman Tristan Luneau. Luneau extended his point streak to 7 straight games, scoring the game-winning goal in a 2-1 victory over the Colorado Eagles, one of the top teams in the Pacific Division. Goaltender Thomas Susek also stepped up in that game, stopping 28 of 29 shots to help secure the victory. Earlier in the week, the Goals struggled offensively in a 4-1 loss to San Jose and then fell 6-3 to Colorado, but Captain Ryan Carpenter and team scoring leader Sasha Pastoshev continued to produce. So here's the question moving forward. Are the Goals starting to build momentum late in the season? Because if their young stars keep producing like this, San Diego could make things interesting down the stretch. San Diego Goals had a mixed stretch of games this week, going 1-2 across matchups with the San Jose Barracuda and the Colorado Eagles. And the week started with a 4-1 loss to San Jose at TechCU Arena.
Yeah, the Barracuda scored twice early before defenseman Tristan Luneau cut the lead in half of the slapshot goal. The tally extended Luneau's hot streak to 5 straight games with a point. San Diego's penalty kill continued to shine, staying perfect for the 4th consecutive game, but the offense just could not generate enough to be able to mount the comeback before coming home to face the Colorado Eagles.
Now, back at home at Pechanga Arena, the Goals fell 6-3 to Colorado despite a strong start. Captain Ryan Carpenter opened the scoring on the power play, while Judd Caulfield scored his first career AHL power play goal to briefly restore the lead. However, Colorado pulled away in the third period with 4 goals, Forward Sasha Pastujov finished the night with a goal and an assist and now leads the team with 42 points this season. But the goals responded the following night. They went and beat Colorado 2-1 against the Eagles, earning a split of the series against one of the Pacific Division's top teams. And when we've looked at the standings for the AHL, Frank, this is big wins because this is a big swing for the goals as they try to make the postseason.
Yeah, we've talked about it over the course of the last couple of updates as to how tight everything is in the division, in the playoff race. And for the San Diego Gulls to be able to at least salvage one of the games last week, very, very big. And we've talked about, again, over the last couple of updates, how they've played in so many close games, winning and losing. This is definitely a young, battle-tested team that's still trying to learn how to win.
Yeah. Goaltender Thomas Suchanek delivered a standout performance, 28 saves, while Nikita Nesterenko opened the scoring with his fourth goal of the season in this win over Colorado. Once again, Tristan Lowe played a key role, scoring the game-winning goal in the third period, extending his point streak to 7 games with 11 points during that span. One of the biggest positives, I think, for the Gulls right now is the play of Tristan Luneau. Young defenseman is not only producing offensively, but also leading all Gulls defensemen in points. And when a blue liner can control the puck, contribute goals, and drive the transition game, it changes the entire dynamic of a team's offense, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like adding another forward out there, a forward that plays back for you. So for Tristan Luneau to really come on the way he has, again, scoring points in his last 7 games, that is absolutely huge for a team that is looking to make a playoff run and is towards the back end of the safe zone.
Now, another encouraging sign, the penalty kill, which has been perfect over the past several games. In the AHL, special teams can often decide tight games, and San Diego is starting to show improvement in that area. The bigger challenge, though, for the Gulls moving forward is consistency. They've proven they can compete with strong teams like Colorado, but turning those flashes into sustained momentum will be the key if they want to climb the Pacific Division standings. They are in a safe spot right now for a playoff, but they are not too far off from hosting playoff games. This is something that should be in their center line to go out there and attack and get. And not only that, you don't just want to make the playoffs, Frank. You want to try to advance in the playoffs, and the consistency with this team is going to be key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be close to see how this team is going to play. But for the Gulls, they're showing a lot of positive trends to where if things maybe don't go the way they want to or the way they hope or expect it to this year, years down the line, with Anaheim being as good as they are and being able to keep some of these young players and also possibly adding some in trades or in free agency during the offseason or next year, that'll be a huge key for this team. It may not be able to win this year, but next year and years on, they're looking very, very good.
And now the question becomes, are the San Diego Gulls starting to find their rhythm late in the season? Are these strong performances just isolated flashes against tough competition? And with players like Luneau and Pastujov producing and the goaltending stepping up, San Diego may still have an opportunity to make things interesting down the stretch. $11:40 on the Fan. Think Wilbur's having a good time today, Frank? Yeah, he's not in the YouTube chat. You know what? He's probably going to pop in the YouTube chat pretty shortly here because that game is, well, I don't want to say it's over because I have watched Arizona basketball completely lay an egg in the NCAA tournament. They're up 53-29 at halftime here in San Diego. We're going to talk about the San Diego teams here in a second, but we start looking at some of these scores that have already happened. Texas Tech looking like they're going to pull out a victory here. There's 3 minutes left in the game. They're up 82-66 in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Red Raiders off to a good start. The game of the day so far has been the first game of the day. The last 2 days, Frank, have been amazing.
Yes, they have been.
Kentucky Santa Clara went to overtime, and Kentucky, after making the somewhat half-court shot at the buzzer to send it to OT, wins it in OT over Santa Clara 89-84, and they move on to the next round. So Kentucky advances. Texas Tech's up 84-66. They're on a 15-2 run in the last 4 minutes of play as that clock ticks down to 2:40 left in the contest. Arizona's up 20, or they're up big time at halftime, 53-29. Wright State is leading Virginia 43-38. Something to monitor, Frank. Whether or not Wright State can knock off Virginia. I think a lot of people have Virginia going through a couple of rounds.
Upset alert.
Upset alert. Something to pay attention to in the second half. Can Wright State keep it up? All right. Let's talk about some of the teams here in town for this weekend of college basketball. We are going to get a preview of St. John's and their upcoming game against Northern Iowa in the next segment as we welcome on the SDCCU fan hotline, John Minko to the show. That will be happening in the noon lunchtime hour. We will also be talking about some of the food that's now going to be at Petco Park in the noon lunchtime hour. There's some new stuff that's great coming up on the coming up to Petco Park this year. Padres announced it today. We will talk about that in the noon lunchtime hour. We will also break down a little bit of the Padres game as well. But also want to get to your phone calls, 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Let's get to Kathy in L.A. Kathy wants to weigh in. Kathy, how about your Cornhuskers yesterday? That's a big win. Thank you, Kathy. They've never won an NCAA. It was their first NCAA tournament win in their history. And Kathy, I don't know if you saw the video of the Cornhuskers play-by-play man of 40 plus years. I mean, he was tearing up calling the final seconds of that game. There you go, Kathy. Well, keep up the representative the Padres up there in L.A. We appreciate the phone call. Happy belated birthday to you as well. And congrats to your Cornhuskers. That's a huge win for Nebraska. No, they couldn't hear the phone call on the deal. Was that in record on the board? We've had a lot of issues with the board today.
Yeah, dude.
Kathy called in to talk about her Nebraska Cornhuskers and then wished me happy birthday. So that's for everybody in the YouTube chat that had no idea what Kathy was talking about. That's what she was talking about. All right, let's talk about some of the teams here coming to San Diego that are already here. Arizona's already up, obviously. They're the headliner of this particular pod, or should I say group of pods here in San Diego. Here's what you need to know. The 8 teams coming to Viejas Arena in a loaded NCAA tournament pod featuring elite contenders, some blue bloods, and some dangerous mid-majors. All 4 games have been sold out this weekend, which is great. Cross-country travel, 2,300 plus miles for a lot of teams, a lot of Midwest programs, only a couple of West Coast teams as part of this conversation as well. And a unique dynamic, obviously a neutral site. All the teams have been singing the praises of Viejas Arena, the intimate setting for an NCAA tournament game, not having to play in an NBA-sized arena, not having to play, Frank, in a football stadium, which is also great. So it's a pretty fun deal here at Viejas. We went there we got to go yesterday. That was Frank's first time stepping into the NCAA tournament with a credential on. What was your takeaway before we start breaking down some of these teams?
That was really impressive. I mean, I'm going to be very, very honest here, and this is probably going to catch me some flack. Today, when I go to the St. John's game, I'll probably catch the end of the Utah State Villanova.
Utah State Villanova will be on after Arizona Long Island. Yeah. Yes, in the first grouping, first session.
That will be my first time attending a basketball game at Viejas Arena. I
That's
have not gone to. Yeah, I know.
Yourself
That's
a foul.
Fair.
He draws the foul.
You're not going to get the full experience because it's
not San Diego State,
right? And the only time you're going to really get that place full is when Arizona plays.
Yeah, but
maybe Kansas too. Like, who knows on the travel? But
I mean, still, it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be impressive. It's going to feel different. Now, I have been to college basketball games before, but I'm sure it's going to be impressive. It's going to feel different because of that logo that's going to be at center court.
Yeah, it's cool.
March
It's
Madness.
the covering the NCAA tournament is probably one of the best things ever. It's probably one of the best things ever. It's awesome. It's awesome covering the NCAA tournament. So it's going to be a fun day today for everybody that's going out to the arena. But a lot of good teams in town. Arizona's the best team by far. They're 32-2. They won the Big 12 regular season and the tournament. Jaden Bradley, player of the year of the Big 12. They have elite guard play. But the thing is, Arizona and Kansas are probably the two headliners that are coming here to San Diego. Neither of them have made the Sweet 16 in a long time. Arizona hasn't made it past the Sweet 16 since 2015. They haven't been to the Final Four since 2001. A dominant team without a lot of great March runs. In fact, it's been mostly disappointing runs for Arizona and losing embarrassing games to start the NCAA tournament. So right now, the fact that they're up on Long Island big is huge for Arizona, but they have had some awful performances in the Sweet 16, awful performances in the first round, awful performances in the second round, but they're a team that is loaded. This is the best, and I've watched Arizona basketball since I was like 3 years old. This is one of the best Arizona teams that they have had in a long time, and they're kicking ass already in this one. Local underdog story, if you want to say, from Riverside, Cal Baptist. They're the 13 seed. It's their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. They've only been a D1 school since 2018. They get to face Blue Blood Kansas. And later on in the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to talk with Kansas broadcaster Brian Hanni, who will join us at 1 o'clock to give us a preview of that game. They're a team that with Dominic Daniels Jr., I mean, he's averaging 23.2 points per game and a 47-point game this season. He's already had a 47-point game. He's taken on a blue blood team in Kansas, but California Baptist is one of those teams that wants to try to jump out to an early start against Kansas today to try to get the crowd on their side even more. Like, there's the other thing too with these tournament games, Frank, and this is what you're going to experience when you're out there. The crowd starts to flip. The neutral crowd will flip back and forth who they're rooting for, and if you can win the neutral crowd and be that underdog story, that makes it a little bit more of a tougher environment for a lot of the blue bloods in this particular deal, because you got, at that point in time, you're going to have maybe whoever wins the St. John's game sticking around. Obviously, a lot of people that buy the tickets for the sessions usually stick around if their team wins. But if you can get the crowd buy-in, California Baptist, that you could try to use that to your advantage. I mean, this is a team in Kansas that's been very inconsistent. And let's talk about that team. A blue blood team with a lot of questions. Inconsistent season for the Jayhawks. They're 23-10. Injuries have defined their year. Darren Peterson is their X factor. He's an NBA level talent. He has missed some time, but he's now finally healthy. The ceiling for this team is a Final Four team. But the problem is their floor is also an early upset. I mean, it's been an up and down year for the Jayhawks. And I bet you when we talk about this with Brian Hanni, he's going to mention the fact that this team is just all over the place. By the way, this is a team that has made the Sweet 16 in a handful of years now. I mean, they got scared by Samford a couple of years ago, early exit in the next game after that because they got tired in game one, what they thought was going to be a cakewalk. They got knocked out of the tournament last year. They had to face Arkansas early in the tournament. So there's a lot of that going on with the Kansas Jayhawks. But just like Arizona, they've been teams that have been very inconsistent in the NCAA tournament. The hot team that nobody wants to see in the NCAA tournament, St. John's, the Red Storm, 5 seed, won the Big East regular season and tournament. They've won 19 of the last 20. Zuby Elijahford dominates every stat category for St. John's. And of course, they're coached by the godfather of college basketball, and Rick Pitino. I mean, we got to see St. John's practice yesterday and got to see the aura of Rick Pitino, not only at the press conference, but then walking through the halls. You could just tell like what he brings to college basketball yesterday, Frank.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was definitely one of those moments that tracksuit was gleaming.
The white tracksuit. Is he going to be wearing the white suit today? Isn't he wearing the white suit on the
usually does he not, for games like that? Oh, baby,
NCAA tournament.
But yeah, I mean, it was very special to be in that room for sure. And again, I was just taking it in yesterday. It was very, very fun, very impressive, very unique to be on the floor in that building for what was going on in preparation for what was bound to happen.
Right. So I can't wait to talk about St. John's coming up in the next segment. But a very dangerous veteran, well-coached team peaking at the right time. I mean, they beat UConn multiple times this year, not only winning the Big East regular season, but also the tournament. I mean, they beat UConn multiple times. UConn got the 2 seed, and I think St. John's is improperly seeded as a 5. So we'll see. Yeah, their mascot, Johnny, man, he was helping out the guys doing the calisthenics in the hallway yesterday.
Yes.
The mascots are great. This is what I love about the NCAA tournament, too. The Shark over there and Wilbur are having a great time at Viejas Arena. They usually do like a dance-off at some point at these things. So you're going to have to film the dance-off between the two mascots when you see, some of these guys later on today and then, of course, over the weekend. So that's St. John's. You got some toss-up. I got a toss-up matchup coming up next after Arizona and Long Island. Real upset potential. Villanova, Utah State. Villanova is an experienced tournament pedigree team, but they're missing their key forward due to an injury as the 8 seed. 9 seed Utah State. Balance guard duo, MJ Collins, Mason Falsev. We've seen this Utah State time a couple of times. It's a true coin flip game between Utah State and Villanova. Utah State's been a lot more consistent as of late. Plus, you know what? They got I don't know how much of a factor it plays. They got experience playing in this building. And this will be like the first time it's not going to be hostile for them playing in this building because it's a neutral site. And so you don't have to deal with the screaming San Diego State fans the entire time. So the fact that Utah State's been able to handle that before, I think it's going to be okay. But we'll see against Villanova, they're banged up right now. And the teams so far in this tournament, Frank, that have been banged up have not had great performances.
No, they have not. And we saw that from Duke even, which is why I have them beating TCU, but I don't have them getting past either St. John's or Kansas. Me personally, I think it would be St. John's, but they definitely showed that they lacked something. I mean, they didn't play good in the first half at all. I mean, they shot 2 for 11 from 3-point range.
They weren't very
in the
good
first
at
half
all.
yesterday, but just overall their quality of play was not good. Barring the results. The results just spoke for themselves at that point.
The other mid-major sleepers in here, Northern Iowa, they're a 12 seed. The Panthers are defensive first identity. They've had proven history of NCAA upsets. Remember, they beat Kansas in 2010. I remember that as a game that they were an 8-9 matchup and then were able to knock off the number 1 seed in Kansas in 2010. They're a very low-scoring, ugly game team, which is an upset recipe. So if St. John's pulls what a lot of these other schools have done and sleeps on their opponent, it might be a rough day. But I think playing on the second day is an advantage for favorites, Frank, because I think they get to watch the games before them and be like, hey, Duke just struggled with Siena. We can't be doing something like that. And Rick Pitino even mentioned that in his post game or his press conference yesterday. So I think that plays a factor in some of these and why you get probably a little bit more upsets on the first day than the second day. Cinderella possibility. And then Long Island, I mean, they got size across their roster. They got efficient scoring leader in Jamal Fuller, but they're probably overmatched against Arizona. And I think that's showing right now as Arizona's up 30 points. Up 59-29. When we come back, we'll talk more about St. John's, who's in town for the NCAA tournament, as we will meet with their play-by-play man. His name is John Minko. He joins us next on the Braden Surprenant Show as we continue setting us over in Sports Station 97 to the Fan.
From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New Lunchtime Hour on 97 through the Fan is presented by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors at 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. Where are the tacos at?
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where are the damn tacos at?
I agree, Jeremiah. Where are the birthday tacos at? Let's get it. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant, the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Coming up in this hour, we're going to try to track down John Minko, who is the play-by-play radio broadcaster for St. John's. He's been doing it, for a long time now. He was the former Army football broadcaster from 2000 to 2009. He's been at St. John's for basketball since 2008. And he used to do WFAN New York updates as an anchor from 1987 all the way until 2020. And he is, we're getting ready to get him on here momentarily, trying to track him down over at Viejas. A busy day today in college basketball. Currently at Viejas Arena here at San Diego State, Arizona's got a 63-34 lead on Long Island. That game's not even close. I mean, Arizona's just a lot bigger, better, faster, stronger than Long Island. Virginia is trailing to Wright State at halftime. Wright State up 43-38 at the half, and then a couple of games are about to get underway. Texas Tech beat Akron as the second game of the afternoon, and it was a thriller between Santa Clara and Kentucky, and Santa Clara gave up a three-pointer around the half-court spot. Kentucky hit a three to send the game into overtime and then prevailed in overtime. So that's your update on what's going on in the NCAA tournament. And I think we have tracked down John Minko. And as I mentioned before, he's been St. John's men's basketball broadcaster since 2008, former Army football broadcaster from 2000 to 2009, and a longtime WFAN New York update anchor from 1987 to 2020. Just a great, illustrious broadcasting career. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. St. John's radio broadcaster John Minko joins us on the Braden Surprenant Show. John, what's going on? Hopefully you're enjoying the sunshine here in San Diego.
It's 86 degrees, or at least it's supposed to be. And after the winter we've had and blizzards and snow, these are things that you would not know about, or the folks that are listening in here locally. Getting used to this heat is a bit of a challenge. I mean, I'm in a hotel room and the air conditioning is on to 65 degrees. Usually, I sleep and live in 72 degrees. So just figure.
Yeah, a little bit of a change about it. Well, I'll tell you what, John, it's a little bit hotter out here than it usually is around this time. This is usually the month where we got a lot of overcast days and cool days and rain in San Diego, even though we don't get too much rain. So you guys you're getting a little bit of a summer treat here in the month of March. But speaking of March, this is the big time in college basketball. We were out there at practice yesterday while you guys were practicing. What are the early reports coming out of St. John's basketball with the shoot around yesterday and how they're adjusting to Viejas Arena?
Well, adjusting to the arena and things like that. This is because of the transfer portal and all that type of thing. This is a veteran team. They'll graduate 4 out of the 5, and it's we'll put it that way. This is a team and a group that has a lot of experience. Coach Pitino can do things that with a veteran team that maybe he could not do with a younger team. And you say, well, what do you mean? I'll give you an example. We have a 12 noon tip-off at Madison Square Garden against Creighton, 12 noon. And most teams go through shoot-arounds prior to the games. Well, St. John's had a shoot-around that day at 8 o'clock in the morning for a 12 noon game. And Coach said, basically I can't do things like that with a lot of teams, but I can with this team because of the veteran nature and the experience level that it has.
We're talking with John Minko, as the radio broadcaster of St. John's, the St. John's radio broadcaster, as they're in town to take on Northern Iowa later on this afternoon. They will be part of Session 2 at Viejas Arena. In Session 1, Arizona's got a lead on Long Island, 65-37. Villanova will play Utah State after that. And then the nightcap, St. John's in Northern Iowa and Kansas and California Baptist. Rick Pitino, still relatively new to St. John's. You've been at St. John's for a long time now. What has been that, what has been the jolt for St. John's basketball to get them back to what they had been for a long time with Rick Pitino? And what have you noticed with Rick being the head coach over there at St. John's?
Well, I think there are three things. I think the first revelation is Rick Pitino. And I think you have found, and basically you examine all his records and accomplishments and things like that. He's not only been a difference maker at St. John's, he's one of the top, if not the number one college basketball coach to ever live. I used to always think since I'm old, and I worked in Indiana for quite a while, that there was no one better than Bob Knight. I thought that Knight was the best coach that's ever coached anything. I think he was that good, and his teachings and things of that nature, were different than others. but they bought in, and he could coach teams without a lot of talent. But this I think Rick is right there with him. And so that's the first thing. I think the second thing in St. John's transformation is Zuby Ejiofor. It takes a great player, and he is that player. He should be, a top-tier All-American, and maybe he got snubbed or anything like that. I don't think that that's all that important, because the scouts, the pro people, they know who he is. So that's the second one. The third thing in the transformation of this program has been Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden, they used to play like maybe 4 games there a year. Now it's not almost, but for it's quite a bit. It's like 12, 13 games in the Garden, and the Garden has been like 16,000 people on an average. And when UConn and some of the other teams come in there, they get 19,812. And the opportunity for a young person, a player, to play in the world's most famous arena, I think is very, very enticing, and to have that arena full on most nights. Those are the 3 reasons I believe that the St. John's program is where it is today.
We're talking with John Minko, as the play-by-play broadcaster for St. John's. They're out here in the NCAA Tournament. They're going to play at Viejas Arena. The first game of Session 2 coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. I think a lot of people out there driving around might be missing the first session to go to the second session because of work and everything. So, get to talk about St. John's, a little bit about the basketball program here with their play-by-play broadcaster. And John, let's talk about this team currently. You talked about the experience. You talked about Okafor again, and being an NBA prospect. But for a lot of people like out here on the West Coast, that don't get to see a lot of St. John's basketball, they might know about Rick Pitino, obviously, with his stature. How would you, tell us a little bit about what St. John's has accomplished this year? Because a lot of people know about UConn and what they have accomplished, but St. John's beat UConn a couple of times, including the tournament. They were the outright champions of the Big East and then the tournament champions. I might have got a little hosed with the 5 seed in terms of the NCAA tournament, but how would you give the synopsis of the St. John's basketball season?
Well, I think right now it's a team that's playing on a very, very high level. And the same thing for Northern Iowa. I would say Northern Iowa, a 6th seed in the Missouri Valley, they just swept right through their conference tournament. 4 games pretty much in convincing fashion. St. John's won all 3 of their conference tournament games by double digits. They trailed in only 2 minutes out of a possible 120. And what was the 2 minutes when it was 0-0 at the beginning of the game? They weren't leading then. The game was tied. It was scoreless. So, but St. John's is a team that is a good offensive rebounding team. That's one of their trademarks. They're a team that supplies big-time ball pressure on the perimeter. They're a team that forces turnovers, and Northern Iowa is a low turnover team. And these are some of the things that I think have made St. John's really good.
Last thing for you, John, as we get ready for this game coming up later on this afternoon, I've asked a handful of broadcasters this, but also members of these teams. I mean, you have broadcasted games for St. John's before and after the NIL era, obviously, the beginning of it. How do you think how has St. John's managed the transfer portal and managed the NIL, especially in a tournament where you want a lot of experience and players that have experienced the tournament? It's kind of hard. We got to plug in place. How has St. John's navigated this, in your opinion?
Well, they've navigated it pretty good, because that's basically, where they get their players. I think moving forward, retaining personnel, I think, is going to be important for all Division I college basketball players, teams, I should say. But St. John's has managed the transfer portal extremely well. That's where they've got the majority of their players, and they've been able to get the right players, which is very, very, very important. And high quality personnel, and I think that's basically Rick has done a really good job in that.
I said last thing, I lied. I got one more for you, John. I appreciate the time, of course. What does St. John's have to do this weekend to go to their first Sweet 16 since 1999?
Well, I think defending the 3 is a major factor, but you say that that's a major factor for any team, but the 3-point shot is what it is. You got to make some, and you got to defend. And I do think this, say, well, you got to defend a 3. Oh, he was 0 for 2 or 0 for 5 or something like that. And I think it's more than just getting the hand and making it a contested shot or making a shooter uncomfortable. I think it's sometimes pushing off the line. It's not so much, to me, it's important with the makes or misses, but see what a team is that's a heavy 3-point shooting team, and see how many shots they attempt, because you can't score if you don't shoot it, and you can't score if you can't attempt, and those numbers are low. So that's one thing. For St. John's, defensive rebounding is a key, and making sure their guards help out on the boards. I think that's another key thing. And the third thing is the obvious thing. For all the talk and what we've talked about here for 10, 15, whatever minutes it's been, you don't win if you don't make shots. And found that out against UConn in the second meeting. They missed 24 in a row to end the game and shot 7% in the second half. You have to make shots, and St. John's has got to be in a position to make shots, and plenty of them, to advance to the Sweet 16.
John, I appreciate the time. Thanks again for coming on with us and taking some time before you get ready for a broadcast later on this afternoon. Best of luck, and hopefully you guys have a long, fun weekend here in San Diego.
Thank you very much. This is I hadn't been here in a long, long time, and you could live a nice life here.
That's right. We try to do it on a daily basis, John. We appreciate it, and hopefully San Diego is treating you well.
Thank you.
John Minko, play-by-play voice of the St. John's basketball program. It's good to talk with him. Legendary broadcaster over there out in New York. It was fun catching up with him. Later on in the show at 1 o'clock, we will be talking with Brian Hanni, who is the play-by-play voice of the Kansas Jayhawks. Those two teams could be facing each other potentially on Sunday if they take care of business against UNI and California Baptist. So we'll have more about that later on in the show. We do want to dive into some Padres baseball. We have a couple of minutes here to talk a little bit about last night. And then in the next segment, Petco Park has announced some new food items for the Padres at Petco. So we're going to talk about that in the next segment as part of our noon lunchtime hour brought to you by the Craft Taco. Want to mention that we broadcast live for the Bill House Studios each and every day. We know how. Guys getting locked into the screen. We got Hofstra, the Pride ready to tip off against Alabama in 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Now it's Frank's turn.
Yeah.
Now it's Frank's turn to sweat out a game while we're on the air. If both of our teams happen to advance the next week, I just hope they got games times that it's not competing with our show.
Exactly.
Although I think by the time the Sweet 16 rolls around, are most of the games in the afternoon?
Yeah, they are mostly night games, are they not?
Right. So let's talk about the Padre game last night. Frank, did you get to watch any of the Padre game last night?
I did not, no.
I watched some of it yesterday, and, I think a lot of people are freaking out about Michael King and some of the red flags that might be popping up. I mean, he has not looked good in spring training. While the offense dominated yesterday, we'll talk about the offense in a second, Michael King was not very good. 6 earned runs, 9 hits in 5 innings, 3 home runs allowed in the 7th, 8th, and 9th of the spring for Michael King. 10.19 ERA. If you look at his pitch tracking, though, it was a lot of sinkers and a lot of changeups. That was the only kind of 2 pitches that he threw yesterday. So obviously it could be something is working, but at the same time, you got to be a little. I'm not overly concerned until you start seeing results in Major League Baseball games and regular season games. But we can't sit here and just be like, oh, these numbers matters and these numbers don't. And be like spring numbers don't matter, because he's given up a lot of home runs. He's getting squared up consistently, and there's a lot of lack of swing and miss dominance. I know he's coming back from a season last year where there was a lot of injuries, but you would have hoped that Michael King had a little bit better of a spring than he just had.
Yeah, for sure. That would have been nice to see, especially coming off of the off year that he had. But my saving grace with Michael King right now, and the reason why I'm thinking that he's going to be just fine, is you saw what he did in that 1 inning that he had in the wild card round last year. He pitched fine. I mean,
right.
He had not pitched all that well or all that much leading up to that, but when the chips were down, he got it. He got his job done. He did what he needed to do. So I have a feeling that Michael King is going to be just fine going into games starting next week, and I'm just taking this as this is the process of spring training.
When we come back, we'll talk about the bullpen from yesterday and kind of recap what has happened in the spring for the bullpen as well as the offensive side. Padres offense put up 13 runs yesterday against the White Sox. We will discuss when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Setting Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. The Tritons are making noise. The biggest headline comes from the women's basketball team, where UCSD just won its 2nd straight Big West Championship, beating Hawaii 60-48 behind a monster performance from Erin Condren. 22 points, 14 boards. That win sends the Tritons back to the NCAA tournament, where they'll face the 3-seeded TCU Horned Frogs in the first round. Meanwhile, on the baseball diamond, UCSD just swept Cal State Northridge in a wild 3-game series that included a 17-16 slugfest. J.C. Allen hit nearly 600 on the weekend, while Gabe Camacho continues to lead the Big West in home runs. Softball also had a strong showing, taking 2 of 3 from UC Davis behind big performances from Haley Garcia and Malia Cherry. So the question now is simple. Are the Tritons becoming one of the rising programs in the Big West? Because right now, UCSD is winning everywhere. UCSD men's basketball season came to an end in the Big West Tournament quarterfinals after an 80-70 loss to the CSUN Matadors men's basketball team. Junior Tom Beatty led the Tritons with a career-high 22 points and 5 3-pointers, while freshman Hudson Mays added 17 points. UCSD actually controlled much of the game early, leading 36-32 at halftime and building a 9-point lead early in the second half, but CSUN surged late behind a dominant 34-point performance from Larry Hughes II, finishing the game on a hot shooting run. Tritons closed the season with an impressive 23-11 overall record. They don't make the NCAA tournament, Frank, but they finished top 5 in the Big West Conference. Another good season, especially after a new head coach and everything with that left with last year's team.
Yeah, another solid 20-win season as well. Coming into Division I basketball, made the national championship tournament last year, and now you're just missing out. So a very, very good year for the UCSD Tritons this year.
The big story, though, is the women's basketball team, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Tritons defeated the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors basketball team 60-48 to capture their second straight Big West championship. Forward Aaron Condren delivered a dominant performance with 22 points and 14 rebounds, while tournament MVP Michaela Rose added 17 points and 8 boards, with both players logging all 40 minutes. This win sends UC San Diego to the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship for the second consecutive year. They will enter as the number 16 seed, and I wonder who they face.
Yeah, they'll be
in the first round.
They'll be a 14 seed, and they'll take on the 3-seeded TCU Horned Frogs in women's basketball. That's going to be a game heard on these airwaves on Friday. So
yes.
Should be a fun time for the Tritons and for TCU. I'll be locked into that game on Friday before our show, so it should be a fun time on Friday. But
you're going to come in early and hang out with me as I work the game?
I might. I might.
Attaboy.
Maybe I will. We'll see how it goes on Friday with for the Tritons. But TCU's had a really great season in women's college basketball. They've invested a lot of money into that team. So they came up they won the Big 12 conference and then came up short in the conference tournament. So should be a tough test for UCSD. On to baseball. The Tritons opened Big West play with a 3-game sweep of CSUN in a series full of offense. This weekend included a 17-16 shootout win, a 6-4 comeback victory, and a 12-4 finale to secure the sweep.
Yeah, outfielder Gabe Camacho continues to lead the Big West in home runs and in RBIs, while J.C. Allen, had an incredible weekend, going 10 for 17 with an unbelievable 10 RBIs, leaving UC San Diego at 3-0 in Big West play so far this year.
Yeah, great start to Big West play for the Tritons in baseball. On to softball, where UCSD took 2 of 3 against its Big West foe in UC Davis. Tritons swept Friday's doubleheader 9-4 and 6-4, powered by the top of the lineup. And then leadoff hitter Haley Garcia combined for 5 hits, 4 RBIs, and 3 runs, while Malia Cherry added 4 hits and 4 RBIs. UC Davis avoided the sweep with a 4-1 win in the series finale, but the Tritons still secured that overall series victory. And as of right now, Frank, you look at UCSD doing a lot of damage in a lot of Big West sports.
Yeah, absolutely. They have been all over the place ever since coming up to Division I, and they've had a lot of success in doing so. So bravo to them. They've taken the bump up from D2 to D1 very seriously, and it's showing not just in basketball, but in all of their sports.
Yeah, one thing is becoming very clear across UCSD athletics. The Tritons are adjusting to Division I faster than many expected. Women's basketball program is already winning conference titles and making NCAA tournament appearances. Baseball's off to a strong start in the Big West, a conference that they have already won already at the D1 level, and they're using that explosive offense that they have. Softball continues to be competitive in conference series. Even men's basketball, despite the tournament exit, finished the season with 23 wins, which is a major milestone for a program still establishing its. All right, I think we've lost Frank for the next hour and a half.
For the next rest of the show.
Yeah, so Frank's done for the weekend. It'll just be me at this point. Frank's favorite college that he roots for, Hofstra, just tipped off against Alabama. First possession, pick 6. That was actually a pick 2. Season's over. And then Hofstra battled back with a shot, and now it's 4-2 and back to the season being over. We'll see how that goes. NCAA Tournament update. Arizona is up 76-45 over at Viejas Arena over Long Island with 6 minutes to go. Wright State and Virginia is a 2-point game with 12:38 left in the ball game. Virginia's up 55-53, and Iowa State is up 10 already early on Tennessee State to get that game started as we continue our coverage of the NCAA tournament. Frank's going to be heading out to the to Viejas Arena later. I will have USD baseball tonight against Gonzaga. It's the game one of the conference play for USD, so I'll have that later on. And then, I got a lot of work to do on my birthday, Frank. It's a lot of gigs, a lot of jobs. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's fun though. You never work a day in your life when you love your job. So
exactly right.
It's a great time. Yeah, Iowa State, Tennessee State looks like a football game already. It's 20-7 to get things started. Just like Hofstra said, Alabama is just William and Mary on steroids.
Exactly right.
Just keep it like that.
It's
all right.
Just William and Mary on steroids.
Let's get back to some Padres baseball stuff. The Padres are one of two organizations that have not announced an opening day starter for opening day. It's them and the Brewers. Brewers are waiting, I think, for Brandon Woodruff on some stuff as well. But in terms of the overall deal, everybody's got an opening day starter except for the Padres and for the Brewers. Now, Nick Pivetta does pitch tonight, which I think would allude to the fact that Nick Pivetta might be the opening day starter. And maybe, since the game is tonight, maybe they'll announce that on Gwynn and Chris later on today when they do the press meeting and stuff like that. And again, Gwynn and Chris's show today is money. Jackson Merrill's going to join the show. AJ Preller's joining the show, to name a couple. Should be a fun afternoon out there in Peoria. It's a hot one out there. But let's take a look at what happened last night again with the Padres. We talked about the situation with the starting pitching and what Michael King did yesterday. But let's also take a look at the Padres offense yesterday, because the Padres offense was pretty good. They delivered an offensive explosion, 13-6 win over the Chicago White Sox. Beneath the surface, this game perfectly captured the biggest theme of the spring training, which is confidence at the plate and a little bit of concern with the starting pitching. Offense, crowded, hot, forcing decisions. Padres lineup is starting to look very deep right now, and more importantly, productive across the board. Gavin Sheets, home run for the second straight game. He's now 9 for 29 in his last 10 games. He's quietly turning into that serious offensive weapon, an option that the Padres had last year. Fernando Tatis Jr. an RBI double plus 2 walks in his return from the WBC. Immediate impact. He looks locked in. Jake Cronenworth continuing a hot spring. 2 for 3 with a double and 2 walks. He's hitting .421 in the leadoff role this spring and forcing the conversation about him potentially batting leadoff. Xander Bogaerts 2 for 3, now hitting .318 in the spring. Very consistent, steady presence so far in spring training. Ty France, 3-run homer, really forcing the issue about how he should be on the team, hitting .341 this spring. Massive problem in a good way for the Padres, because how do you not keep Ty France at this point in time? And even with Manny Machado going hitless in his return, the lineup still exploded, which tells you this offense may be deeper than expected. But I look at the guys that are battling for spots. They continue to swing a hot bat as we have a handful of games left in spring training, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. That means, again, the competition that we expected has happened, and it's worked out very, very well. Now, as far as the starting pitching deal is concerned, I would have to expect that it's going to be Nick Pivetta starting on opening day. You could make the case for Michael King starting on opening day since he pitched yesterday. Highly doubt he's going to pitch again. If not, whoever's not pitching on opening day is pitching night 2. You got everything. If you're a Padre fan, you got everything out of this spring training that you wanted to get. As far as competition, the bench is going to be quality. The guys are back. They're ready to go. Starting pitching is a little bit of a question mark, not because of who's going to be in it, but how the guys that are going to be in it have been pitching, especially at the top. But it should give you a lot of hope for the season to come this year.
I think so too. From the bullpen side of things, again, with the San Diego Padres, the bullpen has really been carrying this team in spring training, but it's expected because the bullpen was the biggest asset the Padres have had going into the year. even with King struggling yesterday, Padres bullpen continued to show why it is going to be the backbone of this team, at least early in the season. Bragley Rodriguez stranded a bases-loaded jam, 1 earned run in 8 2/3 innings this spring. That was a big moment for Bragley Rodriguez yesterday. He was a little wild at the beginning, but he really settled in and got his team out of a jam, because that's the jam that Kyle Hart was in. And Bragley came in and got the Padres out of it. Kyle Hart still 0 earned runs allowed this spring. Jeremiah Estrada, scoreless again, no earned runs in 8 2/3 innings. Wandy Peralta had a clean inning after limited World Baseball Classic workload. So the bullpen looks not just good, but this looks like the big carry for this team this year. And in the future, with a lot of these guys being under contract for a long period of time, a lot of young players in this bullpen, Frank, and we talked about this a lot yesterday. This bullpen is the big factor for the Padres in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. And another major factor is I've seen rumors. I'm trying to get it back, trying to see it to where I had it before, but I believe I saw that Jason Adams might be pitching today.
Well,
so
Jason Adams is going to be on the show today with Gwen and Chris. Maybe he'll say it on the show if he's pitching or not.
But I mean, we talked about that yesterday, and Sam had mentioned it yesterday that it's unlikely to see Jason Adams make the opening day roster because he hasn't pitched in a spring training game yet. So it's definitely interesting now that a day after we said that and more or less kind of agreed with it, because it does make sense to see Jason Adams pitching in a game that could again throw the bullpen into chaos, but very good chaos.
Yeah, a lot of the problems that are starting to arise are good problems to arise. Like, how do you not have Ty France on this team, right? How do you not have? I mean, we talked about Bragley Rodriguez yesterday. I mean, how do you not have him on the team at this point with how great he is pitching? I mean, the numbers game is going to be interesting for the Padres, but like Kyle Hart has a lot of value to this team in terms of being a long relief guy and being very versatile as an arm for this Padres team. There's a lot of big questions still facing this organization that we will get a little bit of clarity next week. But, you know, by the time we hit the airwaves on Monday, I would imagine most of this is going to be figured out. I mean, I don't know how much more on Monday and Tuesday they're going to find out before they have their couple of days off and then the game on Thursday. I mean, when I look at this team, we talked about it yesterday. I think the roster is pretty much set. I think they have a general idea of what they're going to do come opening day and come that opening day lineup. But I still think that we're going to be a little surprised when we're at Baja Ricks and they announce the roster. I think there's going to be a couple surprises on there. There always are. I mean, there's some players that I thought for sure the last couple of years had no chance of making the team. Rougned Odor, Yuli Gurriel, that ended up being on the team.
Yeah, but you don't really have those guys. Like the guys this year that you would expect to make the roster have been pretty dominant in spring training this year. So you would expect Ty France to make the roster. And if you're expecting Ty France to make the roster, that means a guy like Jose Miranda might not. There's a good possibility of that.
What I was trying to say with that is, like, I'd be surprised like Jose Miranda made the team at this point, because him and Ty France are like the same player, right? Yeah. I mean, I would be surprised. Bryce Johnson making the team would not be a surprise to me. I think he's on the team. You know, another surprise would be, you know, the Padres going with like Marco Gonzalez to keep a lefty in the rotation. That would be to me would be shocking, right? Like that would be a move that would be like, okay, that's a little surprising because he hadn't had a great spring and with that, so that would be surprising. Also, that kind of situation that the UT threw out there of like 4 starters and then somebody else, I think that would be surprising. Like if Herman Marquez didn't make the team and they took another bullpen arm. I mean, but those are kind of like extreme situations that would be really shocking. But Kyle Hart making the team would not be surprising. Bragley Rodriguez making the team at this way with the way he pitched, I would be a little surprised if it led to cutting somebody else. But overall, because of how great he's played, would not be surprising. A lot of these moves for this team would actually not be surprising. I'd actually be more surprised if like Ty France didn't make the team or Jose Miranda, made the team over Ty France. I mean, there's not too many surprising situations, I think, when it comes to this roster. I think the biggest thing might be the rotation and how they schedule the rotation out 1 through 5. I think would probably be there's more chances of that being surprising than who's actually in the rotation. Which is shocking because of what we've had conversation-wise for the entire spring and all the competition. There was a lot of question marks, and right now I feel like most of these questions have been answered. So we'll see what happens next week. I'm excited to see what this roster is going to look like for the Padres, and I have a lot of optimism for this team to start 2026. Now, whether or not they can make it through the entire year, that will be another major question, but a lot of those decisions are going to be made later down the road. When we come back, we'll talk about the sprint season coming to the MLS. Drake Hills will explain that for us. We'll recap what happened for San Diego Sea against Toluca, and where do they go from here? All next on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Tournament Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. San Diego High School sports had a huge week, and one story grabbed national attention. Cathedral Catholic star Honor Falave Johnson announced his college commitment in style. The 5-star recruit hosted a full commitment party in downtown San Diego with about 125 people in attendance, complete with a DJ, food, and a live broadcast. When it came time to reveal his decision, he grabbed an Oregon hat, tossed it aside, then pulled out a sword and put on a USC Trojans hat. The crowd erupted. Falave Johnson rushed for more than 1,200 yards last season and averaged nearly 10 yards per carry while helping Cathedral Catholic reach the state championship game. He'll likely play safety at USC, but the Trojans are also considering offensive packages for the explosive playmaker. The scary part, San Diego fans still get one more season of him at Cathedral Catholic before he heads to college football, since he is only going to be a senior in the fall. San Diego High School sports delivered another packed week, and there are storylines popping up all over the country, from new football coaching challenge in East County to a massive college commitment announcement, the strong early season showings in baseball and track. And let's start on the football side, where Sid Reed is taking over the program at El Cajon Valley, and he's inheriting one of the toughest rebuilds in the county.
Yeah, absolutely. Reed has had solid success at San Diego High, reaching the CIF semifinals in the last 2 seasons. But his new job is a completely different challenge. El Cajon Valley hasn't had a winning season in 20 years and went 2-8 last year. Reed says he's focused on bringing structure, leadership, and a family atmosphere to the program. And sometimes it's exactly what struggling programs need, not just wins, but culture. And if he can turn that program around even slightly, it could become one of the best turnaround stories in San Diego high school football next year.
It's going to be difficult. I mean, they're trying to do what Jason Texler did way back in the day when they had El Cajon Valley win like 12 games, 12 wins for El Cajon Valley that year. They have been really a struggling program for a long period of time now. But major college commitment, of course, one of the biggest recruiting announcements in the country happened this week is Cathedral Catholic star Honor Falave Johnson committed to USC. And the way he did it was obviously memorable. Full commitment party, hats from 6 powerhouse programs on the table, and then a dramatic reveal with the USC sword before putting on the Trojans hat. Falave Johnson was last season's CIF San Diego Section Offensive Player of the Year, rushing for more than 1,200 yards and nearly 10 yards per carry. He'll likely play safety at USC, but could see offensive packages as well. And Cathedral Catholic fans will get one more season to watch him before he heads to the Pac-12 powerhouse USC, which is now the Big Ten powerhouse in the USC Trojans. But that old school pipeline between San Diego running backs, San Diego players, and USC continues with Honor Falave Johnson.
Yeah, and congratulations to him getting the full party. I got to see him last year against, who was it at Southwestern?
Carlsbad.
That was Carlsbad. He really is a special player, and a player that your eye is always drawn to whenever he is on the field. So very much big time congratulations to Honor Falave Johnson and his family.
On the diamond, speaking of Cathedral Catholic, the Dons look like the early team to beat in San Diego. They took down Granite Hills, who is ranked number 2 in the county, 12-3 on a run rule in what was essentially the Hilltop Lolitas Tournament championship game. Lineup pounded out 16 hits, and the pitching staff shut out had shut down innings late. Even more impressive, the team has 10 players already committed to four-year colleges, including schools like Princeton, Stanford, Arizona State, and UCSD. That's the kind of depth that wins championships.
Yeah, I wonder who wrote this update today. It was actually me.
It wasn't me at all.
I put the update together. But yeah, another strong start for another Cathedral Catholic program and a great opening to a baseball season.
Yeah, I watched them play against San Marcos the other day. They looked pretty good. A lot of fundamental things that they got to clean up a little bit, but it was fun to watch Shohei Darvish pitch for Cathedral Catholic. He has really upped his velo. He is one of the commitments that is going to UCSD. But what's going on in track?
Track season is also heating up with El Capitan hurdler Spencer Chastang is emerging as one of the athletes to watch. He swept both hurdle events and the Don Jones Invitation at the Don Jones Invitational, and is now chasing school records in both the 110 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. He's also hoping to reach the state meet this year after narrowly missing out last year. So a big weekend for Spencer out of El Cap.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like you see that national attention for San Diego athletes, we're seeing it more and more. Obviously, it starts with this week with Honor Falave Johnson being on the front page of ESPN.com for his commitment. That was obviously huge. But you start looking at all the athletes that you see, not only in professional sports, but college sports, between nationally televised commitments, major recruiting attention, elite athletes chasing state titles, spotlight on San Diego talent's getting bigger every year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see. I mean, it's becoming a pipeline, not just for football, but for other sports as well throughout the landscape. So very, very big for San Diego to have so much young talent here that you guys can go out and watch for relatively cheap before it becomes a lot more expensive to be able to go out and see them.
San Diego High School sports had a huge week, and one of those we know how is our continuation of guests today. We are going back to the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Usually at 1:35. It's got a lot of stuff going on over there at San Diego State right now as an adjunct professor. Drake Hills, a contributing writer for Black Players for Change and ESPN.com. Sure, it's a busy day on campus over there, Drake. I don't know if there's anything going on, but it seems like a little bit busier at San Diego State today than normal days.
Yeah, I mean, there's like this basketball tournament that's going on over there. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. And I don't know, Braden, I think it's the Arizona Wildcats. I think that's what they're called. They took my parking garage away, so I had to walk a little extra. A lot of the places are closed. In fact, the university is actually closed today because of March Madness. And so it's a hot one, though, right? So it took a little bit of a different walk. But a lot of soccer going on as well, so I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah, we're happy to have you on talking about soccer. Now, I want to apologize, Drake. I think they took your parking and gave it to Frank and I, so we'll be parking in your spots in the parking garage when we go out there to watch the March Madness. So foul on us. We apologize for stealing your parking today.
Foul.
Major foul. Before we get to soccer, how's your bracket looking?
You know what? You're going to be disappointed in me because I actually, at a protest and out of great depression, I did not create a bracket because both of my alma maters are not in the tournament. So I got my Ducks sitting at home, and I got my Northwestern Wildcats also sitting at home. So I'm just happy to see what your Wildcats are going to do, Braden. But also, now I'm excited to see what Arkansas is going to do. I'm looking forward to see what. Maybe I'll get a chance to see Villanova play Arizona in the second round. I'll be at the games on Sunday. So I'm just a fan right now and enjoying the 5-12 upsets. So that 5-12 seed curse is still alive, as you well know.
Yeah, shout out to my sister's High Point Panthers for getting the job done yesterday against Wisconsin. Frank is stress watching Hofstra right now, but let's talk about some soccer. What was your overall synopsis of San Diego FC against Toluca? Obviously, they're down two men in terms of like players that are impact players that received red cards in the home match in the first leg. They were playing at high altitude. I mean, Toluca got punched in the mouth after playing here in San Diego. And so not overly shocked at the result, especially with the amount of games they had to play. But what was your overall synopsis of San Diego FC in the loss to Toluca in the second leg?
The overall synopsis is that they never had a grasp on the game. Like, they're not just pace, but actually being able to technically play the way that they wanted to. I mean, we saw Duran Ferri in the way that he kind of asserted himself as a youngster. Shout out to Del Norte and everybody up there at Forest and Del Sur. But his confidence in trying to play out of the back, trying to play with the ball at his feet, that was, case in point with one of Jesus Angulo's goals, especially in the end of that first half. So I think the problem was that San Diego couldn't be San Diego FC at Toluca. And whether it was the high press that was disrupting San Diego, whether it was the fact that you're missing Marcus Ingvarsson, it looked like they were overwhelmed pretty much for the entire game. I do think that there were points in the beginning of that first half where they had the ball. We kind of thought that there was going to be a game on our hands, but it turns out that the high pressure from Toluca, plus the fact that they took advantage of the confidence in being on the ball. The final possession was about 56% in favor of Toluca, but it looked like more 2/3, especially when you're looking at how they were able to be content with San Diego's low block, and they were taking hacks from 20, 25 yards out. And they almost executed. And a couple of their goals were actually rebounds from some of those big heaves. So I think whether it's Toluca or some other team, America, Chivas, it just seemed like this was a litmus test for San Diego to say, hey, guys, we still have a ways to go to kind of be one of the best on the continent.
We're talking with Drake Hills on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Now, Drake, as we get to the aftermath of this tournament, what was the biggest takeaway for San Diego FC competing in their first CONCACAF Champions Cup?
Yeah, I mean, in addition to understanding where they're at quality-wise, now, granted, yes, we all know Manu Dua is out, Marcus Ingvarsson's out, Anibal Godoy, he was able to kind of come in and get his first taste of Toluca and a decent put in for the start of his season. And so you're always going to have excuses about we're not at our full strength. But the reality is that when you have someone like Toluca, who is a champion of Liga MX, featuring about 3 or 4 guys who are going to be on Mexico's World Cup team, it just gives you the opportunity to mark an X next to that experience. And that is what you're going to be shooting for the next year or so. I think Tyler Heaps and the squad over there that's putting together this roster understands that, hey, we've proven ourselves in Major League Soccer. I think it's going to be another testament to see how we as San Diego FC can prove ourselves yet again, second time around. But I think when it gets to outside of MLS and you start talking about intercontinental or international and continental competition, there's maybe just that one player or 2 players missing, I think, especially in the attacking midfield and up front, that can be a guaranteed partnership with Anders Dreyer to be not only a goal-scoring mechanism, but also to continue to possess the ball, being able to compete against some of the best players on this side of the world.
What's the next step now for San Diego FC? What's the aftermath of playing in the CONCACAF Champions Club as they now transition back into MLS play? Where do they go from here?
I think they have to realize this is an exhale for them because, like we've talked about, being able to balance the midweek games in the Champions Cup, in addition to a really hot start, being one of the best, if not the best, attacking team, over 11 goals in those first few games in MLS play. But given how they ended last week against FC Dallas, and Peter Musa puts on probably one of the best performances in MLS to start this season, in addition to the fact that, hey, it doesn't really get any easier. You've got a young, talented, very vibrant, and disruptive Real Salt Lake team that's coming to town with, Aiden Herzakazi is a guy that I didn't really have on my radar until this season. He's got, a few goals to his name. And when you partner him with Xavier Gozo, these are 2 18-year-olds who have half of RSL's goals to start this year. They're not as potent as an attacking side, as San Diego has been, but they're also one of the very young build-ups. And case in point, they have one of the best academies in MLS. So it doesn't get any easier. And San Diego FC is going to have to prove themselves against not only RSL, but the rest of the Western Conference that feels like they're starting to figure out how San Diego FC wants to play in year 2. And so it's going to be a little more challenging. And I think without the Champions Cup involved, it gives San Diego that opportunity to refocus in, prove to MLS that, hey, last year wasn't just a freshman fluke. We're here to stay and we're here to win.
We're talking with Drake Hills, who is a contributing writer for Black Players for Change. He also is a contributing writer to ESPN.com when covering international soccer. With San Diego FC and the MLS now, there's some big news that happened this week. The MLS talked about being on the same calendar as the rest of the world. And in order to do that, they have to kind of finagle or really make their schedule a little bit different coming shortly to get back on that calendar. And so what they announced was the 2027 MLS Sprint season, where each team will play 14 regular season games against their own conference opponents one time to try to just get a quick season in to get back on the right calendar. What do you think about the MLS doing this? Is this the best way to do it? And what's your opinion about them being on the same calendar as everybody else?
I mean, there's huge pros and cons, right? I think to start with the pros, let's just start with the games. I mean, it's a necessary evil in order to make it happen, especially when you're looking at a thick of a season at the peak of summer, changing to being at the end of the fall where you're going to try to have some sort of extended break when you move to the fall to spring season. So the 14 games, it's kind of hard to find a way that, in my opinion, where you can bypass that. You want to finagle with, is it 14 games? Is it 16? Is it 12? But the reality is that it's kind of necessary evil. I would also say, in terms of being on the international stage, competing league to league as one of the better leagues in the world. I know the Premier League is kind of up there, but in my opinion, I think they're really competing with Ligue 1 in France. I think you're competing with the Eredivisie in Holland. I think you're competing even to a certain extent because, in my opinion, I think Serie A is kind of top heavy, but even to a certain extent, Serie A. So I think the Premier League in England and La Liga are kind of in their own bracket. I would also say the Bundesliga in Germany is probably close up there too, maybe in their own tier as tier 2. They're a lot more competitive than Serie A, but there's just not a lot of competition at the top like there is at Serie A. So I would say Premier League, La Liga in tier 1. I'm going to go German Bundesliga in tier 2. But then I would also say tier 3 kind of starts with Serie A. And I would also say that the Eredivisie and Ligue 1's in that third tier. And I think that's where MLS is trying to ascend from and trying to match themselves and say, hey, we can compete with these guys. And transfers, obviously, is a big part of that. Seeing how players can leave MLS and go to Europe and be successful on a regular basis, that's going to help. But the challenge is that, you're going to have half the league who hates the fact that they have to, go to Minnesota, that they have to go to Chicago, that they have to go to New York in November or early December. But then those teams are going to hate that they have to go down to Houston, that they have to go to San Diego, they have to go to Miami, they have to go to Orlando in, May or so I think there's pros and cons. You're not going to get everybody on the same page, but I do think overall that it is a good way to look at how can MLS transcend from this kind of retirement league moniker and get to that level where you're a part of the global sporting body.
Drake, try to stay cool out there, man. It's a hot day. Try to, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. Go watch some college basketball on Sunday. And we appreciate the time as always. And we look forward to talking to you again next Friday. We'll have Padres baseball back, but I'm sure we'll dive into some more San Diego FC.
Oh, yeah. And I'll be at the Goals game tonight. So a little bit of ice, trying to stay cool indoors.
Wow, look at that.
There you go.
That's great.
Take care, guys.
All right. We'll talk to you, Drake. Look at Drake diving into some hockey, Frank. Do you think he watches our goals updates on YouTube? He should.
He definitely should. if he wants to know what's going on with them without having to go to every single game or paying a ridiculous amount for AHL.TV.
That's right. We could probably get Drake out to opening day if we wanted to.
I'm sure we could.
We could. All right, when we come back, we are going to be joined by Brian Hanni. He is the Kansas Jayhawks radio broadcaster. He will be joining us next, give us a preview of Kansas and California Baptist, Session 2 of the NCAA Tournament here in town. Braden Surprenant Show, 97 through the Fan. Welcome back to the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. And joining us now on the SDCCU Fan Hotline, as all guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline, it's not big bank banking, it's better. We got the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks as they are in town for the NCAA Tournament. He is a Kansas Jayhawk alumni, now back in his 10th season, broadcasting for the Kansas Jayhawks basketball program and football. His name is Brian Hanni. He joins me on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. Brian, what's going on? How's your time in San Diego so far?
Oh, man, we love it out here, Braden. Wish we could play out here every year, man. This is awesome, and certainly looking forward to tonight. Excited about the Jayhawks' chances should they win tonight with a potential UNI or St. John's matchup on Sunday. It's been too long since we made the second weekend. You know, we're spoiled at Kansas. Our last national championship was only 4 years ago, but we've not made the Sweet 16 since. So it's an important weekend for us, and that all starts with a really scrappy and certainly capable Cal Baptist team tonight.
Let's talk about the Kansas Jayhawks in terms of what they've accomplished so far this season for a lot of people out here in San Diego that might be coming to the game tonight that don't know too much maybe about the Kansas Jayhawks. I mean, you come from the Big 12 Conference, which is arguably the best conference in college basketball. Obviously, a lot of tough competition, but, you know, what has been the synopsis of the Kansas Jayhawks season this year for a lot of fans that might be watching you guys for the first time tonight?
Well, I think, you know, it starts with the Hall of Famer, Bill Self. He is coaching in his 23rd season. A brief history of Bill at Kansas. You know, in peak Bill Self mode, we won 14 straight Big 12 titles, which surpassed UCLA's record of 13 straight conference championships, of which John Wooden got the first 9, and then 2 other coaches after Wooden combined on the last 4. For Self to do that in the era of Durant and Blake Griffin and some of the studs that came through this league, it really speaks to his legacy. He's won 2 national titles. He's taken Kansas to the Final Four in 2008, 2012, 2018, and 2022. And, you know, he's a guy that was a first ballot Hall of Famer now 9 years ago. So you know, he's the face. But then Darren Peterson, from a player standpoint, obviously is the one that San Diegoans are going to want to see. He's projected to be the number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft. And before the season started, it seemed like a lock. He was the number 1 pick, but he's dealt with some cramping issues that caused him to miss 11 games and only play in half of a handful of others. And so Kansas has struggled to find an identity and kind of a consistency based on his lack of availability in the middle of the year. And the pieces just haven't fit as cohesively as we're used to seeing, you know, at this juncture in the year. And so it's rare to head into March having lost 4 of 7 and, you know, to not look crisp offensively when you have such a talented team. Floyd Bidunga is the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in the Post. Melvin Council Jr. is a super fast point guard that can go from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, like that Ferrari you drive, Braden. He is awesome. But it's not fit around DP as well as we would have hoped because he's been in and out of the lineup so much. And so Kansas on the 4 seed line has enough talent to be a 1 seed, but we've had the inconsistencies that have plagued us as recently as last week. It means that while we can beat anybody, we can lose to anybody too, and that's rare at Kansas. So it's an important weekend for KU to get to the Sweet 16 for the first time in 4 years and to get a little bit of continuity, consistency, and momentum. Because if they find that, Braden, they could absolutely win this East region and you know, even beat Duke or UConn next week should they be still standing in Washington, D.C. But without consistency and without the pieces fitting, we could go home yet again early, which was never the case for the first 15 years or so, the Bill Self era. But of late, they've had some ill-timed injuries, ill-timed health concerns, and it's led to a lot of early exits in March.
We're talking with Brian Hanni, who is the play-by-play voice of the Kansas Jayhawks on the SDCCU Fan Hotline here on the Braden Surprenant Show to get you ready for the NCAA Tournament here in town. Games already going on this morning. Kansas will be the final game of the opening round here at the Viejas Arena. They'll be taking on California Baptist later on tonight. And then the winner of that will take on the winner of St. John's and Northern Iowa. I know you do a lot of extensive research as a play-by-play broadcaster. What are some of the things that Kansas might be looking for in California Baptist in terms of like a scouting report of what they are expecting out of a team that won the WAC?
Well, it doesn't take a lot of rocket scientist type research and intellect to see that Dominique Daniels Jr. is the straw that stirs the drink for these guys. WAC Player of the Year, 23 points per game, the nation's number 5 leading scorer. I like Martell Williams in their backcourt with him. He's a Utah State transfer, second-team All-WAC. They've got some nice pieces, but if Kansas can find a way to slow down Daniels, I mean, hold him in the 20s. Don't see one of these eruptions like he had 2 games ago when he went for 41 in the WAC semis. Then I think the Jayhawks, personnel-wise, up and down the rest of the matchup, should have a pretty decisive advantage from an athleticism standpoint, length, all of that. I think it's a good team that when they can set up their pack line defense in the half court into the floor, can make it tough, and then they'll turn you into jump shooters, and you don't want to be in a make or miss type situation in March Madness at this stage. At this stage in round 1, when you're the big dog and you're the major conference school with the tradition and all that, you want to play to your athleticism advantages and get out and go, turn defense into offense, build a lead by striking first and not allowing Cinderella to hang around and feel like, they got a great shot. If Kansas starts slow, which at times has plagued KU this year, and Daniels and Williams and some of these guys are clipping off some early threes, look at what Siena did to Duke yesterday. That thing was a dogfight until the very end, and for 35 minutes, it looked like Siena might win it. And so I think Kansas needs a fast start. They need to play from out in front, force this team that's a good shooting team, but not a great shooting team at about 34% from 3. Their top 2 backcourt guys shoot about 33% from downtown. Force them into some contested shots, strong closeouts, use our length and athleticism to make everything tough on them. And if that's the case, then hopefully they clank a bunch of shots out the gate and don't have confidence building, because the worst thing you can do as the favorite and a double-digit favorite is allow them to believe they belong. And so I think Kansas needs to try to set the tone early. If they do that, I'm hopeful they can advance without having to eke one out. But, of course, last year we had to play Arkansas in round 1 and lost. And the year before that against Samford out in Salt Lake City, we were shorthanded without our star Kevin McCullough, who was ruled out the day before the game. And that was an absolute shootout that was a bite your fingernails, sit on the edge of your seat, pull your hair out type game. And we barely survived. But Braden, we had to empty our bucket to do it. And we were flat the next game. So it would be my hope that Kansas doesn't have to sweat this one as much, because St. John's and UNI loom large on Sunday. But, we have a ton of respect for Coach Croy, for Dominique Daniels and this group of Lancers from Cal Baptist. And we absolutely realize that they have the firepower to make it difficult on us if we stumble out the blocks. That's why that quick start is imperative in this one.
How much, because you've broadcasted a lot of NCAA tournament games. Bill Self has obviously coached in a ton of NCAA tournament games. How much has Bill Self talked about the experience and how important it is for players that have played in this tournament before to understand what to expect because of how different of an animal it is? I mean, you guys played probably the hardest conference schedule out of all the conferences, with all the ranked teams in the top, not only top 10, but really the top 5 night in and night out. But it's a little bit different environment when you're playing at neutral sites and just the atmosphere of the NCAA tournament. How much does experience play, and how much experience does the Kansas starting group have in NCAA tournament play?
I think it's a huge factor. It's a huge factor because stakes are higher, the lights are brighter. You're playing on a neutral site where sometimes it's a big arena, and the court is on a football field, and the backdrop behind the goal feels like you're shooting into space. That's not the case out here in San Diego. But the point is, it all feels very different and foreign and obviously elevated. And so experience is important. And in this case, Kansas has a little bit of it. Cal Baptist, it's their first year in the dance, third year of being eligible for the NCAA tournament after they made the transition to D1 in 2018, and you have to sit out the first 4 years from postseason inclusion. So I think it's a factor, but let's be clear. I mean, Kansas doesn't have a ton of more experience. In this portal era that we live in, 80% of your roster is turned over every year. And so we've got guys like Melvin Council who have been on campus for 8 months. And yeah, he's played in the tournament, but it was 2 years ago with Wagner. Trey White's been on campus for 8 months. He's played in the tournament, but it was at 2 different schools prior to KU. And again, brief runs. So we don't have a roster of guys that have made the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 or Final Four. None of that. I mean, Flory Bidunga, who played last year, was a reserve to Hunter Dickinson and played sparingly in his one NCAA tournament game. So I think the experience differential is on the sideline with the 2 head coaches. And I had a chance to spend some time with Coach Croy yesterday. Really impressive. Love what he's done with this program. It's not lost on him that he's staring opposite of a first ballot Hall of Famer who's won 2 titles. And, that's a pretty tough draw for his first coaching assignment in the dance. But I don't think he's going to come out phased one bit or wide-eyed or anything like that. He's going to have a good game plan. But Bill Self's ability to adjust within the game, his ability to calm his guys if they don't get off to a good start, having been there before. I mean, this is a Hall of Fame coach, Braden, that rallied from down 9 with 2:05 to go in 08's title game to win that one, and rallied from down 15 at halftime in 2022 in the title game to win that one. Largest NCAA title game comeback in bracket history. So, there is poise and experience and maturity in the coaching realm that far supersedes any of our players' tournament experience, and that can't be undersold.
I do want to ask a follow-up on that because, obviously you've done a lot of Kansas basketball games. You've watched a lot of Kansas basketball games, probably as a student too, and you've watched the 2 different eras now of the pre-NIL era and now the post-NIL era. And just for us out here in San Diego with San Diego State having to deal with the turnover of a roster all the time and a team that was in the national championship under 5 years ago, what have you seen the difference for Kansas in terms of their basketball program in this new era? Because in previous years, as you mentioned, you could have guys part of your team for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. They get that experience, but not only that, they get the experience playing with each other under the same brand of Kansas basketball. What have you seen a change maybe of what Kansas basketball has to do to adjust to NIL?
The adjustments, and I give Bill Self a ton of credit because so many of his coaching contemporaries tapped out and called it a career once the landscape really started to change, not just with the transfer portal, but the NIL era added in and player agents and player marketing companies that are getting them endorsement deals. And suddenly the student athlete concept as we knew it was far gone. And a lot of guys like Coach K and Jay Wright and Roy Williams very happily were content to say, okay, this is my time and I'm going to move on. And Coach has stayed in it, Coach Self. But while we have been super competitive in NIL spending and have done our best to evaluate talent in a short window in the portal, when you have about 3 weeks in April to assemble a roster each year, it's not led to the title runs in this NIL portal era like we had prior to it. And if anything, it has leveled the playing field because anybody with money and opportunity can build a team overnight. The recipe before for Kansas was we would have these great 3 and 4 year seniors that were in many ways the backbone of your team, the foundation. And then he would splash in 2 to 3 McDonald's All-Americans around them. And so your roster construct was 2 or 3 5-star players that were 18, and then 1 or 2 more that had been in the program for a while and knew the culture and knew the expectations and were the leaders. And that's how we had so many consecutive conference titles and all those Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four runs. This is a little different, having to rebuild it every year and also having, the rest of the conference with money to spend that can get guys that maybe Kansas previously, when recruiting was about tradition and facilities and your fans and the arena and all that, those competitive advantages, they still exist, but they're much more muted than they used to be. Now it's about what's the bottom line dollar amount you can give me, and what's my role on the team going to be? How quickly can I, maximize this into the next deal, right? And so that's changed things, and it hasn't, led to Kansas having the head and shoulders above the rest gap that once existed in this league. Certainly the additions of Arizona and Houston have added to that, and BYU too, to a lesser extent, making it tougher. But it's something we're all still adjusting and adapting to. I give Bill Self a ton of credit, though, for meeting this challenge head on and remaining competitive in the midst of a ever-changing college athletics world. Not many have weathered that storm. Him and Izzo of that generation, Calipari as well. But a lot of other guys, this was kind of the sign to move on to the next chapter. And Bill's done a great job of adjusting and adapting, still bringing in top recruiting classes every year, including number 1 Darren Peterson this year, while also trying to be effective in the portal. But it's an inexact science, as recruiting has always been. But it's especially inexact when, while you might be watching a player all year, you can't start recruiting him until after the season, and you have 2 or 3 weeks to figure out, is he a personality fit? Is he a culture fit? Are these pieces going to click and lead to victories? Or are we going to be, again, a team that struggles to get the cohesiveness to line up? And that's what you have to deal with in an era now where you rebuild every spring and you have 20% continuity and 80% turnover. It's just a tough time, man. I don't envy these coaches at all.
Brian, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks again for taking some time to in between your preparation for the game tonight to talk with us, and have fun in San Diego, and hopefully it's a long weekend for you guys.
Yeah, we hope so, Braden. Thanks a lot for having me on. Love your city, love everything about this place. And as Coach Self said, this is probably the best place we could have been sent in terms of just the big-time feel and the hospitality and everything. So we're enjoying it. Hopefully we're here till Sunday. But it's been great to meet you along the way, and wish you all the best.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it, man. Brian Hanni joining us on the Braden Surprenant show on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. Updates for you in college basketball. Hofstra is down 2 at halftime. Alabama's up 37-35. Virginia held off Wright State 82-73. Iowa State is also at halftime with Tennessee State. They're up 55-29. And Utah State and Villanova just got underway over at Viejas Arena with Utah State out to a 4-0 lead on Villanova. That's getting you caught up in college basketball. When we come back, got a couple of promos for you for the Padres that we want to talk about. Plus, they've announced some new food items at Petco Park that you got to dive into next week for opening day. We'll discuss that when we return on the Braden Surprenant show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got big news in the NBA. The league is moving toward expansion for the first time in nearly 20 years. Seattle is back, bringing the Supersonics franchise home after 2 decades, and Las Vegas finally gets its own team, building on its booming summer league and pro sports scene. Expansion fees could hit $7 to $10 billion per team, meaning current owners could each receive around $500 million in addition to what they usually get from just the deal. Seattle and Las Vegas would join the Western Conference, forcing one team, likely the Minnesota Timberwolves, to move east to balance the schedule. Expansion drafts, salary caps, and draft positioning will give new teams a fair shot without handing them an unfair advantage. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks are climbing the ranking with the league's best defense. Denver is struggling, and Minnesota is on fire with Anthony Edwards. The big question, though, will expansion reshape the NBA hierarchy before these new teams even play, or will the current powerhouses hold their ground? The NBA making headlines this week, and it's not just about playoff races. Expansion officially back on the table.
Yeah, according to ESPN's
Shams Sharana.
Thank you. The Board of Governors will vote next week to explore adding Seattle and Las Vegas as franchises in the NBA for the 2028-2029 season. So it's still a couple years away. a move that could reshape the league in profound ways. Seattle returns nearly 20 years after losing the Supersonics to Oklahoma City, while Vegas, already in the league's unofficial 21st city, thanks to the booming summer league and pro sports presence, finally gets an NBA team. Economically, it makes sense for owners. Expansion fees could hit $7 to $10 billion. It's billion with a B per team, which could mean roughly $500 million per current owner. I would call that incentive, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a massive incentive. Now, while the vote next week isn't binding, insiders expect expansion to be a near certainty, with a formal approval likely coming at the July Board of Governors meeting during the Las Vegas Summer League. Players won't have a say in the process, but they'll likely welcome the extra roster spots. If the two new Western Conference teams are added, one existing team will have to move east to balance the 17-15 split. Minnesota is the most likely candidate given its geography and relative isolation from other Western teams. The league will also carefully craft the expansion draft, salary cap restrictions, and draft positioning to make new teams competitive without giving them an unfair advantage, like the NHL made the mistake with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Well, it's not even that they made the mistake with the Vegas Golden Knights. It was just the process, and they took advantage of that process. You get the pick of the litter from each team, plus you get a decent, a relatively competitive draft pick in the process. So they just did it better than anyone else.
Well, they had to change the rules for Seattle
Yes.
after, because they didn't protect enough of the players at they got to draft an all-star team. So yeah, they're going to try to prevent that issue from happening again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also another thing, you don't have as many positions available in the NBA. You don't have as many positions on the court. You do have as many positions on the court. You don't have as many positions on the bench as that's where I was going with that, or inside the organization. So they're not going to be able to pick from every single team in the league. And the draft only being 2 rounds as compared to 6 in the NHL, there's going to be some differences to it.
Past expansion drafts from Toronto and Vancouver in 1995 to Charlotte in 2004 show us that new teams can be competitive if they use the draft wisely. Expansion teams have reduced salary caps in their first 2 years, about 2/3 of existing team caps, but that gradually scales to parity by year 3. Meanwhile, the NBA season continues to deliver some drama. New York Knicks are back in the top 5 with the league's best defense since mid-January. Denver struggling to find consistency, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are quietly red hot with Anthony Edwards leading the way.
Yeah, with the playoff race heating up and expansion on the horizon, the NBA is really at a fascinating crossroads. I mean, how does that shape up? How does the playoff hunt shape up? And the NBA has had a very, very rough year. This could be on the way to changing that image.
The expansion is interesting with the NBA. How much more do they want to expand? I mean, that's a lot of money right there to accept some expansion teams. And with the you don't need a lot of players to fill out a roster. I wonder how big the NBA really wants to get. And on top of that, with the NBA expanding, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk has thrown out the idea of, when is the NFL going to follow suit? Which is funny because the NBA is still trying to catch up to the amount of teams that the NFL has. But I digress from that. We are looking for any type of expansion here, whether it be NBA, NHL, NFL, the more. So now you can't say it's winter anymore, Frank, and complain about the weather. Now you can say it's spring and complain it's too hot for spring.
Yep, it is.
How are we feeling right now at halftime? For anybody just tuning in, Frank is a Hofstra guy. He's a Hofstra fan. He's been watching the Hofstra-Alabama basketball game during the show. Hofstra's down 2 at half to Alabama. They had a 10-point lead, though. That's the frustrating part. How are we feeling at half?
Alabama's really tried to do nothing but just chuck up threes, and Hofstra has been working patiently, diligently, and effectively at getting the best shot that they could possibly get. I'm confident that the game will stay close. I'm not all that worried about the run that Alabama just went on, partly because it came right before the half. So it didn't have the time, it didn't have the natural ability in play to spiral out of control and really get Hofstra down. Hofstra went on a 16-2 run. Alabama came back and closed it up, and then the half came in, kind of killed that momentum naturally. So I'm confident that this is going to be a close game right to the finish.
The play on words from our YouTube chat today for the Hofstra, especially Nate. Foul. The Lions are not asleep tonight yet. Amazing. Was it you that said it takes a pride to take down an elephant?
I said that. Yeah.
That's
after
also crazy.
After what Nate said, I responded to it. And that's genuinely what Speedy Claxton said too, the head coach for Hofstra. He said it's William and Mary on steroids. That's all you really need to know.
I don't know why you got to play William and Mary at the same time.
I know.
Seems kind of like an unfair advantage.
And we got to play, they're in the same conference too, so we got to play them twice.
That seems unfair. All right, we got Padres baseball coming up next week. And there's some things we want to talk about new Petco that's new at Petco Park that got released today. We're going to talk about that in a second. But we do have some promotions coming up for the Padres that we want to talk about. We
couldn't we just play our promo commercial spots? If is it not the same thing? Can we not just throw this up?
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to remind people about this. Okay, we got the we're back with the scarf and the we got two specific things that we got to get to. So, baseball's back. Don't wait to secure your tickets to a Padres home game. Padres host the Tigers in the opening series, presented by Sequan Casino Resort on Thursday, March 26th at 1:10. Limited tickets still remain to join us for the opening series. On Friday, join us for Beer Fest, presented by Southwest Airlines. Before the game, arrive early for $5 craft beers and live music in Gallagher Square. On Saturday, all fans are invited to stay for a post-game fireworks spectacular presented by SeatGeek. Join in on the tradition and fun start to the season. Visit Padres.com/opening day. Now, the opening series scarf. It's a little hot for this right now. I can't believe how hot it's been. This is a great idea by the Padres to do this at the beginning of the season, which usually, I don't know, freezing at Petco Park. But how about this scarf, huh? This looks nice.
I asked a friend if they wanted one, and she goes, "Is it cool?" I'm like, "No, it's a scarf. It's warm." What do you mean?
Foul. You did that to yourself.
Hey, she
played
laughed.
yourself. I mean, again, I told you. Just because you laugh doesn't make it a foul. It's a dad joke foul. This is on Friday, March 27th. Start the season in style with the Cozy Padres opening series scarf. It is very soft. I will say it is very soft. It's very nice. Perfect for showing your Padres pride from first pitch to the final out. Scarf is limited. First 40,000 fans in attendance. That's the first Friday. That's a week from today for this game 2 against the Tigers. That's Tony Gwynn opening day. Coming up on the following week. I like this. This is cool. The belt bag, the Padres belt bag, 1998 Padres belt bag. This is on Monday, March 30th, when the Padres host the Giants at 6:40. First 40,000 fans in attendance will receive a 1998 inspired belt bag presented by Cuido Ortho. Make your ballpark experience hands-free by keeping all your essentials in our newest bag, highlighting the 1998 colorway and compliant with the Petco Park bag policy. Only available while supplies last. Again, first 40,000 going to get it. This is perfect for when you go into the ballpark. These are great. So that's the belt bag and the scarf. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more Padres baseball as we lead you into Gwynn and Chris. We're going to have a packed Padres baseball day. Keep you updated on what's going on in the madness, but also we will be talking about some of the new amenities at Petco Park. Some brand new video boards in a different area. We'll talk about that plus the new food when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. There's a look at some of them. We're going to have Frank kind of walk around as I kind of go through what some of these promotional items are. But the Padres today announced their 2026 promotional schedule, including giveaways, theme games, and events. Every homestand, you can get single game tickets for the 2026 regular season home games on sale on Tuesday, February 3rd. So you got to still wait until next Tuesday at 10 in the morning Pacific time by visiting www.padres.com. Season ticket members have priority access to tickets and enjoy the best available seats. Season ticket memberships have sold out for the 4th consecutive season due to franchise record demand, and therefore all remaining tickets for the 2026 season are available on a single game basis. So these will be, you could buy tickets starting on February 3rd. There are 15 all-fan giveaways planned for the 2026, highlighted by fan favorites such as high-quality wearable, stylish hats and bobbleheads, all of which take place during select home games throughout the season, limited to the first 40,000 fans in attendance. There are 3 different styles of hats this year, and there's a bunch of other stuff. We're going to get to that, but we'll just kind of go through the beginning of the season to the end. And see if you can follow along here, Frank, with what we got. But the first giveaway will be on Friday, March 27th. That's the day after opening day. That's the Tony Gwynn opening day. There's going to be an opening series scarf presented by Saquon Casino Resort. Start season in style with a Cozy Padres opening series scarf, which looks nice. It's great. Nice little scarf. At the beginning games, the early games at Petco Park are usually kind of chilly. But that's a good-looking scarf right there. So that will be against the Tigers on Friday, March 27th. On Monday, March 30th, this one's super cool. On Monday, March 30th, they have the night. I'm a sucker for 1998 stuff. They have a 1998 belt bag, which is perfect for it's a bag that you could bring into the ballpark, which is awesome. I know my mom's got a bag like that. My girlfriend's got a bag like that. There's a lot of different. My sister's got a bag like that, and a lot of people use them to get in the stadiums, but now you can have a Padres one, which is great. So 1998 colors too. So they've seen they've debuted the original one that they had. They've had a City Connect one, and now they got a Padres 1998 belt bag. So that will be pretty cool for everybody out there. That's Monday, March 30th. On to Thursday, April 9th against the Rockies will be the Manny's Hot Corner bobblehead. So it's Manny Machado playing third base. They got the flames around the side. It's presented by McDonald's. First 40,000 in attendance. Display-worthy collectible features Machado at third base and is a keepsake for all the faithful. That's a nice little. I like the little bottom there. That's pretty cool. What is that? Is that the armband? Pink armband? Yeah, it looks nice. Again, if you want to go back, you can rewatch this on YouTube and take a look at everything in the on the deal here. Let's move on to the next one. Wednesday, April 15th versus Seattle Mariners. The puffer vest presented by State Farm. That's that vest right there on the table. That's pretty nice. The best part about this is, like, when I was a kid, like, some of the giveaways were kind of lame, but now they have made them so legit. I mean, that's a nice little vest right there. It's presented by State Farm. That will be, again, on April 15th against the Seattle Mariners, a Wednesday game at 6:40. Not a Wednesday day game. It's a Wednesday night game. First 40,000 fans get that. Against the Cubs, there's a waffle beanie presented by Motorola Razr. Waffle beanies on April 28th against the Cubs. Top off your fit with a soft waffle beanie made for night games at a ballpark photo op. This item is limited to the first 40,000 fans in attendance as well. So that's pretty cool. I like the bobblehead. The one they had last year was cool too, but the beanie. The one they had last year was cool too. First bobblehead for Mason Miller, Thursday, May 7th, at least in a Padres uniform. They got the Mason Miller bobblehead. Watch your speed. Elite pitching with a bobblehead that nods to Miller's clutch moments on the mound. He's got fire coming off of the baseball on his delivery, which is super cool. You can bring that a little bit closer to the camera if you want. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So Mason Miller bobblehead giveaway Thursday, May 7th. And Final segment of the week. It's been good. It's been a good week here on 97.3. The Fan's been a good week in general. Good day today. Love the madness going on. Love watching March Madness. So much fun. Here's your update for you in the NCAA tournament. Iowa State's up 65-37 on Tennessee State. So if you picked Iowa State to go deep into the tournament, feeling pretty good about that one. Over in the region in Tampa, it's Alabama now up 47-39 on Hofstra. Hofstra has had a little bit of a struggle here to start the second half as Alabama's starting to get a little bit more comfortable with now a 10-point lead. But I will say this, Hofstra was up 10-2 and gave up their particular lead. So we'll see how Hofstra does here. They call a timeout. Alabama's got their largest lead of the day, but things get a little shaky in March Madness. Over at Viejas Arena, Utah State's got a 22-16 lead on Villanova in San Diego's particular portion of the NCAA tournament. So we'll keep you updated on that as the show continues. Miami of Ohio and Tennessee have just tipped off as well in Philadelphia. Miami of Ohio has an 8-6 lead on the Tennessee Volunteers. Volunteers, very young basketball team. See how they do against Miami, who's already played one game in the first four. All right, we want to get to some of the stuff that's some upgrades at Petco Park. It's happened. It's got released today. We did get an email from Vanessa with the Padres. She puts out a lot of the press releases for some of this stuff. Some pretty cool, like the food items look great, but on top of that, they also have a lot of different upgrades to the ballpark. And when looking at some of the upgrades to the ballpark of what's new at Petco Park, the first thing that sticks out to me is the tower loft video board. So those towers on the third base and first base side, those iconic towers that have been built with the suites in there, that giant space on the tower where they have like the All-Star Game logo, they're putting video boards up there, which is super cool. That's new for the 2026 season. They're 24 feet by 22 feet video boards. The ballpark's first and third base towers. Each board has, it talks about the makeup of the board and everything like that. But it's going to have, real-time enhanced pitcher stats to upgrade the fan experience, and then it's going to be part of every part of the everyday portion of the board and everything like that. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, they're talking about the automatic strike zone, automatic ball strike challenge system is going to be implemented, obviously, this year. We've talked about that a lot. That was part of the what's new. They're going to have a Randy Jones jersey patch on the side of the jersey. So the jersey, the part of the jersey that has the swinging friar above that's going to have a number 35 jersey patch for Randy Jones to honor the Cy Young Award winner. They got their giveaways that they talked about. We talked about the two first ones with the scarf and the belt bag. Do want to mention there's a lot of other things coming up later on in the year as well. They've now added a membership lounge at Petco Park, which is super cool. Padres members can enjoy a new and improved membership lounge presented by Cutwater. It's in section 102 and 104. It's got more table and seating options, umbrellas, and a new grab-and-go self-checkout cooler, so that's super cool. They got a couple new retail things as well. They got some other hospitality offerings, too. A couple of new companies are in at Petco Park. They're going to have Coco Ichibana. Curry House Coco Ichibana, known as Coco Ichi, is one of the original Japanese-style curry house chains and largest curry chain in the world. They're now in the ballpark, so you could have some of that as part of your food. Also, they got locally owned and operated Popular Pot Pie Company, which I just had last week again. They're joining Petco Park hospitality lineup. They're going to have a cart location in the Power Alley, section 129. Fans can indulge in their savory pie flavors like their classic chicken pot pie, but they can also get the green hog and cheese one as well. For more information on that, you can go to their website and check that out. And then they got some other food things that we're going to get to in a second. They've released the concert lineup, which is super cool for this year. And then the other thing that I'm looking forward to is the Diamond Room. Finest Collective and Patina Group have introduced a new exclusive cocktail lounge, the Diamond Room, to the Ballpark District in 2026. Diamond Room offers specialty cocktails, small bites amid a late 1970s inspired space, velvet, leather, mirrors, turntables, a disco ball, and dark tones. New premium space is located adjacent to Gallagher Square at Petco Park, and it's open for fans to enjoy before or after Padre games and events. That's going to be the gas lamp where the Old City Tacos were. So that's pretty cool as well. They're also talked about their Finest Collective with some of the developments that they're doing throughout town. But what's most notable is the new food items here at Petco Park, which everybody loves to see. We've seen a lot of those start to pop up around the country with a lot of different food items that have been listed. Padres continue expanding beyond baseball with their into full-on food events. Their strategy is a lot of local San Diego brands, international flavors, elevated ballpark food, not just hot dogs anymore at Petco Park, obviously. But not just the usual stadium food that you see at other places. Let's talk about some of the new things. And we mentioned some of the new restaurants, which is the Pot Pie Company and the Curry House, but new featured items. We'll start with number one, the Shortstop signature sandwich, and we're going to show it on YouTube for you. Braised beef short rib with a boursin aioli and au jus on a French roll, premium restaurant level type food inside the ballpark. That looks pretty good, Frank. The braised short rib sandwich, it's called the Shortstop. I'm getting hungry already.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem.
That's the problem with this. That's why we're doing it at the end of the show.
Yeah,
so we're not starving for the entire day.
At least we can get out of here and grab something.
Exactly what I'm going to do. I can't eat meat today. It's a Friday in Lent. We only got 2 more of these left, a couple more of these left, but that looks delicious. It's on, again, if you haven't seen it, it's on our YouTube page right now. Want to go back and see it, go back and look at it if you're driving around. We're going to make you super hungry right now with some of the new food items at Petco Park. That looks great. That looks like a braised short rib sandwich. Super cool. So that's one of the new items. They have upgraded the chili cheese dog. I didn't know how you could do that, but they have upgraded the chili cheese dog, Frank. Chili cheese dog upgraded. All beef Frank, short rib chili with cheese and onions. Even the classics are being reevaluated. That's a hell of a chili dog right there. Chili dog fan, yes or no?
No.
Not a chili dog
Not a
fan.
big chili dog guy.
Oh, I like chili dogs. Chili dogs are money. So that's another new item for you to consume at Padre games. They got the gelati and piccati returning vendor. They got new sandwiches. They got a mortadella with pistachios and stracciatelle, which is great. That's a great sandwich right there. I'm looking forward to having that. That looks amazing. They also have a caprese salad. Caprese sandwich with San Marzano tomatoes and pesto. So a little bit of the dabble in the Italian cuisine over there as well, Frank. You gonna go down there and have a mortadella sandwich on opening day?
Good chance.
Pistachios and the stracciatelle?
Actually, no, I can't.
Pistachios.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be the worst for an Italian.
That for me. Yep.
Yeah, you probably can't get it without pistachios. It's probably too close for call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll have the caprese then. Oh, you can't with the pine nuts and the pesto?
Nope.
Wow. Terrible. Maron. Padres pretzels. How about this? Padres pretzels. New concept for the Padres crew. If you zoom in, they look like they got a couple of pretzel bites and they got these long braided pretzels as well.
I think I can zoom in.
That's going to be in section 206 of the terrace level. They're going to have ranch, honey mustard, salted, and s'mores pretzels with cinnamon sugar pretzel bites and regular pretzel bites with cheese. So classic stadium snack, modernized, customizable. It's going to be awesome. It looks good. The pretzels look money. What's going on in the Hofstra game? They're down 50-39 now.
Yeah, I just had a
pretzel guy, yes or no?
Yeah. No, pretzel guy.
Pretzel bites are great.
Yes, they are.
Nate, oh my heart. Yeah, you probably shouldn't indulge a lot of these things. So that looks pretty good too. Returning experience, Stone Brewing. Stone Brewing has a new renovated bar in section 309. They use it downtown and Coronado. Padres are continuing to sell ballpark as a social destination, not just a game. A lot of great new stuff with the pretzels, with the hot dogs, the chili dogs, the caprese sandwich looks delicious. The mortadella sandwich looks great. So I'm looking forward to indulging in some of these new Petco Park foods, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. It's always fun when you, of course, seeing new things. Being back at the ballpark, number one, is fantastic. But getting to walk around on opening day or the first time you go there for the season, getting there a little early to kind of get the lay of the land, see all the new stuff. That's because there's new stuff in there every single year. So I like to see the new screens, see where they've hidden some stuff away. Maybe there's some new stuff they haven't really advertised going around, and also to see the new food items that they have. Always great every year.
Here's the deal too with we're so spoiled to have Petco Park because you start going to ballparks across the country and a lot of them are putting out new food items, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are creative. But most of the food items at some of these places are they're just subpar compared to Petco Park.
It's just, I mean, it's a shame we're only going to have it for a couple more years for the new owner.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, team that's worth the 10th most valuable franchise in MLB is going to
Yeah.
No, they're not. They're not.
It's only a couple of years. Only a couple of years left to.
You're going to convince. You're going to get somebody that's going to be believing what you're saying right now.
If anyone,
and not believe that it's the all of a sudden sarcasm segment at the end.
If anyone genuinely thinks the Padres are going to move, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Beachfront property, Arizona. We got some for you.
Rod, you don't have to tell me the score, but I've seen it. I see it on my screen. I didn't see much of you when Hofstra was up by 10, though.
That's right. Rod was silent. Kept it zip. Some of the food items, they got new food items in a lot of different ballparks. Did you see, by the way, your Mets?
I saw something. I didn't see.
Did you see I'd see if you could look it up. They are selling the 999
Oh yes, I did see that
with mini hot dogs. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, well,
they're not the only one.
Yeah, I know the Phillies are doing something like that too. They're genuine Philadelphia-sized hot dogs too.
Yeah, they have the okay. So a couple of places are doing it. It looks like Philly. Oh, San Francisco's doing it too.
You see the Marlins machete that they've got?
Yeah, the gigantic
Yes.
quesadilla thing. A lot of these places are doing that stuff. That's the other cool thing about Petco Park. They're doing a lot of classy things. A lot of they're not going overboard on some of this stuff. So they're doing mini casings.
No, that's in Philly.
That's the New York Mets one. The hot dogs are small too.
It's a Philly joke. Relax. Did you see what the Pirates have? The Renegade?
No, I haven't seen that.
It is a foot-long hot dog topped with pot roast, potato pierogies, pickles, and onions.
Do you have a picture of that?
Yes, and not like relish pickles either. It's genuine, pickle slices.
Ew. The pickle chips or the spears?
No, pickled chips.
Oh, okay.
Here, I'm putting it up on the screen.
Yeah, let's see what this looks like. Do you have those other pictures too?
No, I do not.
I'm sure there's an article about this.
Well, yeah, there is, but I would have to. Come on, you mug.
You what? Almost got close. Oh my God. How do you eat that? That's a hot dog too underneath that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a hot dog with pot roast on top?
Pot roast, potato pierogies, onions, and pickles.
Wow. That's insane. How much does that cost? Like $25? $40?
No, it'll cost a couple thousand after your trip to the hospital.
Oh, jeez.
This is the machete. This is the Marlins gimmick.
What is it? It's giant taco or a giant
More or
quesadilla?
less.
It looks like a quesadilla. I guess it could be either.
2-foot homemade flour tortilla griddled on a flat top with melted mozzarella, other cheese, house marinated carne asada, pepper sauce, salsa verde, and cilantro.
Go get a picture of the 9x9 challenge.
Yeah.
999 challenge.
couple more things for the Pirates. There's the Mets 9x9.
Okay, so here's the 999. The Phillies, the Mets, and the Giants have all rolled out their own marketed versions of the 999 challenge.
It's probably going to cost you $99 too.
Yeah, 9 mini hot dogs, 9 mini casings, are essentially pigs in a blanket with a rebrand. 9 shots of beer served in a container that can only be described as a toddler cup.
Yes.
All of it packaged together in a cute little box with team branding on it and sold at concession stand for whatever they feel like charging. I'm reading this from an article. This is what happens when, this is what it says. This is what happens when dorks in Major League front offices decide they want to be cool.
9 mini Nathan's hot dogs. This is for the new at Citi Field. 9 mini Nathan's hot dogs served with 9 4-ounce souvenir cups with your choice of Coors Light or Heineken.
I'm going to tell you right now.
4 ounces.
That's ridiculous, dude. How much do these things cost?
A rainbow cookie egg roll.
Oh, where's that at?
That will be at Citi Field.
That looks delicious.
Some more of the Met food items.
What is that? Click on that. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, that's the egg roll thing right there.
Yep, that's the egg roll thing. It looks like a steak burger to me.
That
like
literally is a slice of that. That is a piece of steak on a bun.
Yes,
is what that is.
Coleslaw
4-ounce beers. I'm gonna tell you right now. To go back to the 999 challenge.
Kimchi Reuben sandwich.
Oh, that sounds good. Here's what I know about the 999 challenge. Before I get distracted to get my more food items on here. If I don't want to hear anybody say that they completed the 999 challenge by eating just this. I don't. Arizona's got this cottage cheese, like health parfait looking thing.
Yes, they do.
Which seems like a bad idea in a place like Arizona where it's hotter than the sun.
50-50 stretch chicken parm and hot pastrami sandwich.
Wow, is that a Rangers game? Oh, no, that's at Diamondbacks?
Yeah, it's Arizona.
So they got half a chicken parm sandwich and a half of a pastrami sandwich?
Yes.
And it's how big is it?
I don't know. It looks like a foot-long sandwich.
God, these ballpark places are insane.
This is Arizona again, the Chicken Tingo Burrito Bowl.
How about that?
Hand-dipped chili cheese corn dog.
Okay, now I'm listening. That sounds amazing. The ballpark food stuff is great to me.
This is some the Phillies are doing.
Is that Fruity Pebbles Sunday?
Yes, it is.
It is
the Schwarbaum Sundae. It is a mini helmet filled with soft serve ice cream and topped with a funnel cake fried strawberry uncrustable, fresh strawberry sauce, and Fruity Pebbles. By the way, nothing I think about Kyle Schwarber is mini, so having it in a mini cup is diabolical for him.
Okay, the strays you're throwing out to Phillies players right now is unwarranted. But that looks amazing.
Yes, it does.
I'll pay to fly to Philly.
They also have like 8 different designer mini cups too. The Phillies do.
What do you mean?
Like
for like their whatever?
Yes.
Their drinks?
Oh my God.
Why'd you stop there? What's that?
The Mets AA affiliate Binghamton Rumble Ponies will be the Binghamton Southern Tier Spicy Meatballs for 3 games this year.
That's ridiculous. Their mascot is their logo they have is a wooden fork that looks like a baseball bat with spaghetti wrapped around it, and then the baseball looking like a meatball.
But the souvenir cups that the ice cream comes in.
Oh, how about the Dodgers have like that little cooler michelada now too,
yes,
and then they got those tacos, and then the Rays got a brownie sundae. I mean, now I'm starving. A lot of these food items look great. Well, maybe we'll give a full recap of that next week. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Big show coming up next. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby. They got a big show with a lot of Padres guests leading into Padres baseball later on this afternoon. They come up next. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Happy birthday, Braden.
Thank you.